when you're not the guy talking.
Don't tell me what to do, Dad.
I guess this is eventually going to catch up, and everybody's going to see us just sitting around for 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's live.
It just caught the end of Joe Mike. All right, so it looks like we're live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Friday night 3D Printing Community Hangout. We want to welcome you guys and, of course, our panel of wonderful people who are here against their will. No, not really. We'll go ahead and we'll run through the introductions, and we're going to go from I'm muted. No, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I'm not getting any. All right, so anyway, we'll continue on then. We're going to go through it from my right to left of how I have you guys down on the screen for introduction. So that makes you first, Joe Mike.
Hi, there we go. Hi, what am I doing? Introductions?
Introduce yourself.
What kind of information are you wanting from me right now?
Well, we would like to know bank account numbers, where you keep the secret stash of cash in your house.
No cash, only gold, but go. Yeah, any more? My name is Joe Mike. I'm a YouTuber and entrepreneur now, apparently. You can catch me on Mojike, Twitter, Joe Mike Terranella on YouTube. Yeah. And I'm on the Instagrams as J Terranella. Good luck spelling that.
That's pretty good. I just copy and paste it.
Yeah, it's probably the best bet.
All right, Marteinn, you're next.
Yeah, hi. My name is Marteinn, and I have a YouTube channel also called 3D Printing Iceland, and it's on Twitter as 3DP Iceland. I've just been printing for 3 months now, and I'm starting to play around with my Prusa printer. So that's what I do, and I've been printing mostly landscape photos, but also lately playing around with the latest Makerbox subscription, doing test prints and learning how to tune in filaments. So that's what I've been doing.
Excellent, excellent. We're going to skip Matt because he's having a few technical difficulties. And that brings us to you, Pooch. I'm glad you showed up, buddy.
Hey, sorry, better late than never. Yeah, I'm Pooch. I've got a brand called Repkord. A lot of people have seen me on the Twitters as Repkord. I've got a YouTube channel. It's Repkord at everything. And I like to fancy myself a maker, an evangelist, and now dabbling in being an educator. So we'll see how that goes.
I take it I'm next there.
Yeah, sorry, I was watching the chat. I was going to type in. I wanted to make sure that the people watching can actually see. But yeah, Richard, that's you, buddy.
Okay, my name's Richard. I have the channel Zidim, Z-I-D-I-M, and my focus is actually on model trains. Although if you go to my channel, it doesn't really look like that right now because I've spent the last 2 months, A, taking it easy, B, building a workshop. But the timing's perfect. Construction finished today. I've started painting, and I have been told my new Moya SLA printer ships on Monday. So I can move stuff out and I'll have room to build that.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, man. SLA, that's where it's at.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't need somewhere else for it to be at. I just need it to be at what I have already got. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Glenn.
And I'm Xander.
And we are Fun King 3D. We are a father and son team that does 3D printing, electronic projects, and as of late, as you can see, not cleaning the office. That's for sure. Yeah, it's quite the mess in here. We've got a couple of projects in the works that will become. Well, this is one of them. We got a video coming for this, which is is fun. I stare at this all day long to watch my subscriber count go up.
Oh,
319. And so anybody that's watching that's not subscribed, if you subscribe within 5 minutes, you get to see it pop up over here. Actually, I don't know if they can see it because
it's buried behind our video. Yeah, you got to move that.
Yeah, you guys all have to drop out so that it can be seen.
Put it over in front of Xander.
I'll just put it on Xander's head.
Yeah, make it in a hat for Xander. That'd be great.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's sweet.
I would actually say I would be fine with that, to be honest. Like, just
so Xander's been working on his Xander thing Thursdays. I actually now have him 1 week in advance, which is a huge relief to me because there's been a couple where I've been doing them Wednesday night for release on Thursday. So, but yeah, we got a couple new videos coming out this week, which is good. You know, now that Maker Faire is finally winding down, we're gonna have some time to do some content. Sorry, there'll be another one.
yeah.
And yeah, that's us. And we're found at Fun King 3D everywhere.
Don't worry, Xander. Murph is just right around the corner.
Woo!
Yeah, and I actually convinced my wife that it was a good idea to go. And I mean, unfortunately, she wants to go. She said no more trips, just him and I. That everybody has to go. So now I have to entertain the other two. But yeah, well, it's more airfare. It's more, you know. But hey, whatever. If it makes the wife happy, happy wife, happy life.
Hey, where's Matt this week? That is he streaming from like you know, the Arctic tundra somewhere, or what? He's always somewhere weird where he's not getting a good signal. What's going on with him?
No, he's something to do with his camera setup or something. I don't know.
Oh, he's at home. Okay.
Yeah, he's been popping in and out, but
He can stream fine when he's out camping. It's when he's at home. He's
When he's at home, he has the worst stuff.
yeah, he's
There
gonna
he
have to go out in the backyard and do this. All right, so Matt will pop in whenever. So I thought we'd spend a little bit of time. You know, I don't want to dwell on it too much because we've all made videos and stuff, but I want to talk a little bit about Maker Faire this year. Just well, to kind of rub it into those who didn't get to go. No.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
just to kind of share the things that we've seen and stuff. And I mean, it's going to be, well, it's really just you and I, Pooch, Matt, when he finally pops back in, but the rest of these guys just couldn't bring it upon themselves to show up.
Well, we got a bunch of people in the chat that were there too. I've seen Josh and you do it, and so it was a good showing, for sure.
Jerk.
Yeah, it was.
Jerk.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if any of you guys know Print and Play. His name is James. He's another one of those Canadians, and
Yay.
was actually in New York the weekend of Maker Faire and couldn't go because he was in New York for work, and he was down in Times Square. He was in the Times Square area and still could not make it, which that had to have been a killer. So that's why he's calling me a jerk. And but yeah, that had to have hurt. That had to have hurt. So, but
that close and yet that far.
And not, I mean, it was so amazing. I'm really looking forward to Murph now. But it was so amazing to be there and the amount of things that we've seen. And I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. So Xander, what was your favorite part of Maker Faire?
Meaning Joel.
I knew that already. I knew that was going to be the thing that he went to. He was that's all he talked about all the way up to it and afterwards. But I want you guys to know there was one bad thing that happened with Maker Faire, and that was that
It was because we left.
he now has a swelled head.
Oh.
He struts around like he's. In fact, he came back with a little bit of attitude. I thought I was going to have to beat him with a flip flop. You know, he comes back all like celebrity because everybody's coming up and asking for selfies with him. You know, but
Pooch started it.
My fault now? You gonna blame me, Xander?
Apparently, it's your fault.
Hey, watching you, buddy.
So, but
Throw me under the bus like that, Ben. That's cold.
yeah. Well, I told you he had it. Like he had this whole image that he was going to go there, and everybody was going to come running up to him. Oh, you're Xander. I have to have a selfie with you and stuff. And I'm like, dude, we have like 200 subscribers. Nobody's going to know who you are. And
actually 321 subscribers.
What? Oh, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
321 right there.
So, you know, well, I mean, we jumped from, we were at like 320 or 220 something, and we were shooting for 250, and AIO Robotics was cool enough to give us those 12 rolls of filament to give away, and that pushed us all the way over 300 between the giveaway and Maker Faire.
Joel entered.
Yeah, well, yeah, Joel entered the contest and tweeted it, and then all of a sudden we like spiked. You know, everything that man touches turns to gold. So, but no, we had gotten into Maker Faire the very first day, and we were walking. Well, we had just taken a picture with the big robot, and all of a sudden we hear "Fun King," and we look up. Well, it's the guys from MakerBox, and so, but as the day went on, it was like people really were recognizing us. Which are you actually with us, Matt?
Ooh,
sorta, kinda.
Sorta, kinda.
Got the green
small
screen,
space. Everybody's all happy because they can play with my green screen after the stream.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do crazy stuff with that green screen. But if I could take 1 minute, I wanna get serious just for one second. This is actually gonna come out in my Maker Faire video, but I wanted to throw it out here. There was a young man that approached us Sunday morning at Maker Faire. We were sitting outside of the printed solid tent, and we were sitting on that concrete block, and he walked up. He was a young man. He had either an English or an Australian accent, wearing a green polo shirt, and he came up and he's like, I watch your videos. And I'm like, really? You know, that's cool and stuff. But after the interaction, like kind of later that day, I got to thinking about it, and it's bothered me ever since. I don't feel like that we engaged with him enough. You know, like, I mean, we gave him a sticker and we talked to him a little bit and stuff, but I just don't feel like I took it far enough. So anybody knows who that is, or if he's watching that video tonight, I need him to reach out to us. I'm going to make you prove that you are who you say you are. So don't anybody else just reach out to me saying you're this young man. But if you're watching, buddy, I really want you to reach out to us. So, all right, now we can go back to being goofy. I needed to get that public service announcement out there. So,
how many people attended the Maker Faire?
Well, Xander and I were there.
That's all that matters. Really.
Yeah, so it's only you two.
I don't know like the total number. They were talking over 200,000, but I don't know what the number actually ended up to be.
90,000 attended.
90?
90,000 attendees. Yeah.
Total for both days.
You'd asked me that while we were there. I would have
That
never said that.
That was an email from Maker Faire Direct. They sent it this past weekend or during the week.
Huh.
And they're basing that, I think, on entrance tickets sold or something.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a wrap email. I just saw that too.
Yeah.
Yep,
and how much of it is like 3D printed related? Like for the event?
Say 20%. Would you guys agree to that?
Yeah, that seems maybe about right. I mean, it's hard to say because a lot of people would use 3D printing in some relation to what they were doing, but maybe not, you know, predominantly.
Okay.
So Xander, outside of Joel and outside of 3D printing, what was your favorite thing to see?
I don't know.
He's probably gonna have to think about it for a while.
Give me a minute.
It was his house guests on Saturday night.
No.
Guess wait.
No.
What?
No.
Tough crowd tonight, huh, Matt?
Yeah. I know it's coming out in the videos, but for those of us who couldn't make it there, what else 3D printing wise, what was the most stunning thing, or the thing got you the most excited?
Ono was there. Ono had a functioning model or printer. I'm sorry, with the their cell phone resin printer. That was actually on. I know they've caught a lot of bad rap, but that was actually kind of impressive. On Sunday, I got to talk to them and interview them about it, and I want to say the guy's name was Jocko, the same guy that Joel did his interview with. He went through, I recorded the entire process from start to finish of getting the print set up and started. And I stopped back about 3 hours into a 5-hour print and got some video of it in the printer actually printing. So that was actually next to probably like Bruce's announcement of the MK3. That was probably one of the more interesting things that I actually saw, 3D printing related.
Speaking of MK3, did anyone order one?
Yeah, I made an order today.
Yeah, I ordered mine.
Oh, I'm jealous. That's awesome.
I'm so excited. I can't wait till November.
I ordered 12 of them, but then decided I didn't have the space, so I canceled the order.
Design, Make, Teach. Josh said his most interesting things that he saw at Maker Faire, just really quick looking at this, was all 3D printed stuff. Ono, Dremel, the 3D 45, the original Prusa MK3, and the full color printer from XYZ. There was one of those there. Somehow I looked at that and didn't even realize that that's what it was. So I really kind of glossed over it. I didn't realize it till later on, seeing it in a couple people's videos.
I was really impressed.
I would have watched it.
Is that the one that has the inkjet color into the prints?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I did a bit on it with Chris that's promoting Earth, but I was actually really surprised by that because I think I was decently skeptical about it, reading about it when they were first talking about it, and then once I got my hands on some of these prints and really tried to scratch it off and analyze, it's legit. Now that said, it's still pricey, and now the consumable, it's got 2 sets of proprietary consumables and stuff like that, so I don't know how popular it'll ultimately end up being, but because it's kind of a niche use case. I mean, you can certainly see making cool models and stuff with it, but I don't know for the general maker how appealing that will be. But if it's an indication of where technology might be going, or we might see this start to open source in the future or something like that, it was neat, for sure.
Xander says he's got an answer to your question, Richard.
I would think it would either be the battle bots or programming a drone.
BattleBot sounds fun.
Yeah, I couldn't get close enough. He's where he's small, he could snake in there and get up to the arena, but I was probably 8 feet away. I couldn't see anything that was going on. So I actually watched one of the contestants rebuild his robot that got destroyed the contest before we got there. So I'll
say for me, one of the things that I know it's not new because, the Part Daddy, it's been around for a long time, but that thing to actually, it was the first time I got to see that up close and personal, and that thing is just impressive to watch. I think Matt walked away with a nice little piece that he was going from it.
Jen's wanting
Jen's got it.
I almost got to one-up him, too, because Joel offered me that big airplane rocket ship thing that they printed, but I had no way to get it home.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Yeah, I had the gear bearing, the full size again, and it operated. And man, what was Matt? Do you remember what the size of the extrusion was on that thing? I mean, it was impressive because it's all customized.
It's 4 millimeters.
Yeah.
It's 4 or 10x what we would all normally cost a 3D printer.
Yeah, 10 times scale. It's a thick ropey extrusion. It's very, very nice. There it is.
Yeah.
One of the few.
Show us, Vanna.
That's awesome.
This is my baby.
Is she in it? So What's that?
No, this is my baby.
So I got to tell everybody, and I'm going to sidetrack the conversation for 1 second. It'll still stay Part Daddy related. So we came home on Sunday from Maker Faire, and on Monday, I think it was, if not, it was Tuesday,
Oh, no,
Jen
Monday.
seatbelted the Part Daddy vase, which is, according to Steve, is vase A. It was the first vase that he designed on Tinkercad or Fusion or something. But so she seatbelted this thing into the front seat of our Explorer. Now, keep in mind, it's 2.5 feet tall, so it's visible from the window, and drove it to her parents to show them because she was that excited about it.
Awesome.
So yeah, I got to come home with one of the vases. That was pretty cool. Which, for anybody who missed it, there's a picture on Twitter of my 1.5-year-old daughter Bailey sitting down inside of the vase. Originally, I stood her up thinking, oh, all you'll see is her eyes, and she sat down as soon as I put her in it, and all you see is her looking up through the vase out of it.
Good for child storage, huh? Are they stackable?
I don't know. I only got one. I guess maybe Murph or Earth. I'll try to get another.
Steve's son Sam is actually in the chat.
Oh, is he? Is that Mintuck? What is it? Mintuck or Mint Lucky? Yeah, jeez.
No, Shadow Wolf.
Shadow Wolf. Okay. Sorry, I was too excited pointing over here. I was missing the chat.
Yeah, no, he said something about that vase was supposed to be his and not yours, and he's going to hunt you down and beat you. No, I didn't really say that.
I was trying to think of something witty to say. It wasn't coming though.
So, but no, overall, I was I had mixed feelings about Maker Faire. Obviously, I went for the 3D printing aspect of it, and it was that part of it was amazing. It really just turned out to be a fantastic opportunity to get to face meet everybody. Well, everybody that took the initiative to get there and wasn't stuck in Iceland or stuck down in Times Square with work or just didn't show up, Joe Mike. And I guess it's because of my anxiety with people. You know, crowds just drive me crazy, and there was a little bit of a crowd there, and you couldn't get to anything. Like, I mean, I took Xander around in the young makers area and stuff, and you couldn't get up to the tables. There was just tons and tons of people, and there wasn't enough I guess organization. So like you'd be standing in line and then people are just cutting in front of you and stuff, and then everything was cost. It was like a lot of people selling stuff, you know, not so much just showing stuff. So
it's a flea market.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily that that's a bad thing. It's just, I guess it wasn't what I had built in my head. So, but
a little more commercial than you thought.
Yeah, I mean, there was like people selling Lego sets, which, you know, I understand you make stuff with Lego. I've been playing with Lego since, you know, I was wee little, but why go there just to sell Lego? I mean, you can buy that at the store. So I guess that part of it was a little bit weird to me. The $7 a slice for pizza was a little hard to get over as well.
Dude, inside, if you guys, for anybody who's never been to a Maker Faire, one of the World Maker Fairs, not the mini Maker Fairs, probably better obtained outside.
Yeah, welcome to New York, right?
Well, I didn't actually even think about going out of the fair to eat, and I mean, we could have went right out there and bought that chicken that lady was cooking on a shopping cart.
The street vendor.
I just got through pneumonia. I was not touching it.
Well, when we were leaving on Saturday, and Xander and I and Matt and his family were all walking down the side, and this guy's like, ice cold water. I'm like, it's ice cold. Oh yeah, ice cold water. Well, apparently that guy doesn't know the definition of ice cold, because it was not. It was like, you know, bottom of the pantry temperature.
I've worked a large number of trade shows, things like that. And lesson number 1 is have something very good for your feet. Lesson number 2 is do not eat at that place because food is expensive and normally not all that great.
Well, you know, I mean, Xander and I talked about all the way up to, you know, going to New York. We were going to eat some New York pizza, and where our hotel was right in the middle, not of Chinatown, but, you know, like
Chinatown too.
Yeah, the second Chinatown. So it was all very, very traditional Chinese food around there. And so there wasn't any pizza readily accessible. And we got excited. Wow, there's pizza at the fair. Let's have. And so I ordered 3 slices, and the guy's like $21. And I'm like, what?
How do you sleep at night, sir?
And it wasn't even good. That's the problem. It was really awful pizza.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Unless that guy's watching right now. If that guy, you know, the guy that owned it, if you're watching, it was great. No, it really wasn't. It was awful.
My $7 pizza was, I think it would have been warmer if it came out of a refrigerator.
Don't walk around New York saying the pizza's bad, just from personal experience.
Yeah, you know, actually, you know, I was kind of disappointed. Outside of the grounds for Maker Faire, we didn't get any New York pizza. Now that I think about it, and that was one of the things I said we had to get. I guess that guy kind of turned me off to New York pizza.
Yeah, Xander and I found a place. It was about a 5 or 6 block walk from the hotel, but it was good. It was a very traditional. It was a very traditional New York style pizza place. There was nowhere to sit. You just kind of got your pizza and went. And so we actually ended up eating there probably 4 or 5 times in the time that we were there. So we got our fill of New York pizza.
So how many of the members of the YouTube crowd did you get to meet while you were there?
Let's see. Who do we have? You had, I was there. Repkord Pooch was there. Glenn and Xander were there.
Pyro,
Nick, Joel,
Travis,
Uncle Jesse.
Yep.
Carmelo's a YouTuber, but more of a creator. He was there. He was leaving trail, but he was there.
You do it.
You do it was there. They had a big, big maker coin, getting everybody's signatures. How many signatures did you guys get?
Everybody.
I need to get Glenn's and Xander's still.
How'd you guys miss that?
They were standing right there too. It was just caught up with Chip and, and everybody else.
At the point that you broke it out, like we were standing, and Joel came, and so then, you know, all focus shifted to Joel, because of something. I know that some of you guys know that I was having something done, but please don't mention it because the person that's for doesn't know about it yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think
I don't
so.
want to give it away, but there was a certain project that I was working on at the show. And if you know about it, don't say anything about it because it's for somebody and he doesn't know yet. So, but yeah, so I had to get with Joel at that moment. And so then I never got to sign the coin. So it's just gonna have to ship it to me and I'll sign it and Murph.
Yeah, Murph.
Yeah, how does it?
Who else was there? So we had Clayton, Uncle Jesse. Preston was there.
Yeah.
Katya, Kat on Twitter, she was there.
Josh, Design Make Teach was there.
Get to run into Josh. Josh, I would have loved to have gotten to meet you.
That one guy,
Bob,
Angus.
Oh yeah, you might have heard of Makerspace.
Bob from I Like to Make Stuff was there.
Yep.
Evan and Caitlin were there.
Evan, the
7-year-old Dave.
Dave and Mara from Matter Hackers. I know that they're not really YouTube, but you know that was.
They are. I mean, they're putting out videos.
They post more regular than I do.
Yeah. I mean, who else was there? If I'm forgetting somebody or any of us are forgetting somebody, it's not because it wasn't memorable.
Chuck.
There's just so many.
Oh, Chuck. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Chuck. Jeez.
I feel Nick just said Nick said it in chat, and I feel really bad for missing Chuck because he kept making comments about always being in Joel's shadow.
Which is ironic considering how big he is.
But then
here, guys, I'm going to show you something else real quick. This was from Maker Faire. This was a secret project. I don't know if you'll be able to see the phone or not. So, again, I'm going to sidetrack the conversation. So Jen is doing this thing.
It does look like a,
no.
a baby.
Oh, I would love to have a baby fox. Not out of me.
So it's a rock. Jen painted this to look like a fox, right? Called
Kindness Rock Project.
Kindness Rock Project. That's like somewhat nationwide. Like most people don't know about it yet. It's sort of like geocaching, but with rocks. You paint up rocks and hide them in obvious places, like in a public park or at an entrance or something like that. Jen and my daughters took a couple of them along to New York to hide, and the secret part of it was we sent one with Mara back to the West Coast. And Jen, while we were sitting here during the stream, just got a post saying that somebody found the rock that Mara hid for out on the West Coast. So that's what she was freaking out over here about.
That's awesome. You were supposed to.
So that was one of the cool things too. We sent a piece of the East Coast back to the West Coast, and now it's going to find its way back again.
Yeah, you were supposed to send one of those to Florida with me.
Nick wants us to
I had
mention
some
this.
This was this was literally like last minute. We were getting ready to leave Maker Faire, and I was like, "Oh, why don't you send one along with Mara back to the West Coast?" Because we had run into her and we were talking to her. So, yeah, if we'd have thought about it, we may have sent some every which direction we could. Okay, sorry. I'm okay. Back to the conversation.
I was just trying to catch up with chat. Everybody in chat's like typing people's names that were there, but I think that we got everybody that's in that list.
I think you've got a pretty good list. I think you got it covered there.
Yeah, it was good. It was a very cool experience.
Yeah.
So, and then to be in the hotel room Saturday night, knowing that they were having the meetup on the hotel bar that was just diagonally across the intersection from us. In fact, Joel posted a video like panning off the roof of and could see our hotel.
That's funny.
You disappeared on us there, man.
Yeah, you.
What was that?
Muted yourself.
All right. So, anybody else got anything from Maker Faire? Otherwise, can move on to the next topic.
I just got to say I'm really excited for Midwest Rep Wrapping, the next thing on deck, because it kind of opens up a whole nother crowd of people that I've been interacting with online for a long time. And that's kind of the neat thing about each of these fairs and festivals, that there's just these different pockets of makers that offer, you know, different things from around the country that you seem to get to meet up with. So to me, it's well worth the travel time and stuff, but I know it's not something that everybody can afford to do. So I know I'm very lucky in that regard. But Rep Wrap, man, that's going to be cool too, because that's all 3D printing related stuff. I'm excited to see how that compares, having never been to that one.
Yeah, I kind of have the same feelings on that. I mean, it's all new to me, so that's and it's going to be neat knowing that it's all 3D printing people too. Yeah. So, you know, like we got to the other side of the fair, over by the robots or whatever, and nobody was recognizing Xander, and it was really hurting his ego.
Poor Xander.
I'm telling you, he came home with this like chip on his shoulder that he just couldn't be touched, and you know, it's like,
don't touch me.
He got a little snippy with his mom a couple of times, and she was going to push him down the stairs.
Well, Xander, the next thing you have to do is start printing parts for your own BattleBot. Then you get the best of both worlds.
There you go.
That's actually not a bad idea. The problem with that is there's, you know, electronics involved and stuff, and then he starts to snub his nose at it.
Great fun learning. You get to destroy stuff at the same time.
See?
I gotta go get some.
I guess he's going to get something. I don't know. He gets these random things where he just gets up and walks away from the table. So, all right. So if we're done with Maker Faire, this next topic is actually something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while because we're relatively new to all of this. I know that there's a lot of people out there that can teach us. I have a lot to learn. I'll never stop learning. I don't ever want to stop learning. But right now, my biggest hiccup is camera. And I know that some of you guys shoot through, I mean, I don't know if you guys do, but some people shoot just through a cell phone or whatever, but I'm really trying to get my quality better. So what I want to talk about tonight is the hardware, the software, and the time and scheduling and stuff that it takes to be a YouTube content creator.
Yeah, I can chime in on that. So I went from GoPro up to the Panasonic G85, and I was doing 4K video on the GoPro the whole time, you know, chewing up hard drive space, and that really helped accelerate my channel. Even that backdrop that I used, you know, you see my son's music studio there, that was done on the GoPro. That video is making me $90 a month right now. The G85 really helped amp up my game, and that's a high quality 4K video. And I got the mic going with it too, with the dead cat. So I'm really happy with that, and I can shoot all the details of what I have later too in a message.
Now, when you were shooting off of a GoPro, did you have an issue with lighting? Because from what I understand, that like they don't handle indoor lighting very well. That they're really made to be outdoors.
No, it handles lighting fine. I have a little ring LED that goes around the lens, and that would help for low light conditions where it was close up. So if you look at my latest Instagram, I have a picture where I was working under the sink, and I had that ring light attached to the GoPro, and it actually worked very well for providing additional ambient light for my G85 that I was also filming with at the same time for a second angle.
And you said the issue with the GoPro was that it was eating up hard drive space?
Well, that's just 4K video because I shoot everything in 4K. Yeah.
Which, so, if I had that option, I would do that as well. I mean, you can always downgrade it later.
Sure, yeah. But the raw video, I always keep the raw video. So I have a 16 terabyte NAS. I can add another 16 terabyte to it. That's for storing everything offline from my main computer.
I would say on the 4K front, in my opinion, like the best advantage of that is that you can digital zoom with a lot less degradation. So if you're trying to, you know, pull footage or do some edits, but you don't have a lot of B-roll to work with or something like that, it's kind of a nice trick. In fact, you'll see Joel, or actually Sean, since he has an editor, do that a lot. And it just kind of creates a little additional interest where he'll just kind of throw a zoom, but it's shot on the exact same camera. So that's that's a good reason to shoot 4K. But it does take up more, hard drive space and all that stuff too. So there's definitely a cost, and depending on how you archive your footage and all that stuff, and what your retention policy is, that'll matter.
Yeah, space is growing. I've only been doing this for 3 months, and I have half a terabyte already of video files and recordings and final footage.
So I can talk a little bit about, I used to shoot a lot and do a lot of video editing back in the day, back in the former days prior to, I don't know, for those of you who have noticed, like my YouTube channel was rebranded not too long ago from my former channel called ViewDo, which was like a how-to video thing that I'd put together way back in another life before I had kids and all that stuff. And, so I'd done a lot of shooting and editing and all that stuff, and I've been kind of excited to get back into it again, and I've got some new gear and equipment, but the landscape is totally different, in this day and age, and you can actually get really good quality stuff with not very expensive equipment, and you don't have to wait for it to, download. It used to be like with the mini DV setups, it's like it could only download that and capture it in real time. And, so it took twice as long to edit because you had to capture the footage, then you would wade through and do all your cuts and everything. Now it's like you can just copy off an SD card or a compact flash or whatever you got. And it's that part's a lot faster, but the storage space and stuff is more. But the gear you can use, like you can get really decent results off of like a camera phone. And what it really comes down to, in my opinion, is the audio first and then lighting second. And if you've got those two dialed in, like a GoPro, a camera phone, like a lot of those things, depending on what your application are, like will be more than sufficient. Like you could very well live stream off of any of those things. Now, if you want to get into like a little more fancy stuff, you can certainly get better equipment, and it looks a lot more professional when you get like a DSLR or something like that, where you can get some better depth of field effect and whatnot, but it's certainly not critical. And depending on what your theory is around, is content more important or is production value? And I think they're both important, but really you need to be focused on, your script, your lighting, your audio, and telling a compelling story or putting up something that's interesting. The equipment piece, I would look at secondarily.
I pretty much agree with everything you just said, Pooch.
One thing I liked from Roberto Blake, if you don't know Roberto, check him out. If you're doing YouTube, you probably know him. He posted a quote, or whether he made it or not, that your cell phone is better quality than what Spike Lee used to film Do the Right Thing.
Yep.
So don't use the fact that you don't have a DSLR or something else to go out and film. Just do it. And he even posted a video for both Android and iPhone of what apps to download, which are inexpensive apps, to do all the filming, changing the lighting, and then editing.
Yeah, I mean, you figure most of our content is most likely, if you look at your demographics or the analytics on it, is most likely watched on a mobile device. So, I mean, if you shoot video with a phone and then process that video without compressing it too much and things like that, somebody watching it on their phone on the other end is going to see just as good or maybe even better, depending on your phone screen, than what you even saw. I mean, you've got Chromecast, you've got Amazon Fire Sticks, Apple TV, and all that you can watch on the TV. But, I mean, even me personally, I've got Chromecast on every single one of my TVs in my house because we don't have cable. So everything I consume is through YouTube, and I still watch 90% of it on my phone. Even though I'll be sitting in the living room in front of the 55-inch TV, I still watch it on my cell phone.
Yeah. I always use the saying that the best camera to have is the one that you have on you. And since you're always carrying your phone and stuff like that, I mean, the quality in these things are just so stupendous these days that really, you're better off just shooting some footage, even if it's not, a fancy DSLR, and getting some content out there, because it's really about building your channel and making a reputation for yourself and stuff first and foremost. And then, the equipment can always come later. But I would argue most of your viewers are not going to really judge you by, how sharp your video is and your editing skills fully. I mean, to some extent. So.
Well, we'll judge you on bad audio, though.
Yep. Gotta have good audio.
You got to have the audio. Some people use the headsets. There's both good and bad. A lot of headsets out there are actually just for gaming and for chatting on that. So they're normally not the greatest. You can go up from there. What I prefer for doing a lot of work is wearing a lav, and I just had a spare one in my hands. Oh, there it is. These things you can find on Amazon for, what, $30 and up. This is more higher quality level. But it's nice because when you move around your set, you can still be heard. When I was doing radio, yes, I had the mic on the boom. And high quality, this is almost $1,000 mic, I think. But my big problem is I want to look over that screen and this screen and over here, and the audio is following with that. It's great when you're working on radio, but not when you're trying to work in your workshop. So
Yeah.
I see so many videos out there where either the audio is so low you can barely make it out, or it's really broken up, or you have that, yes, it fades out over there and it comes in over here.
As far as the audio comment goes, like Richard said, having a lav is a lot better than trying to use the onboard microphone. Cell phones actually do a surprisingly good job if you're in front of the camera at picking up the audio. GoPros, they kind of get their audio from all around, or even the GoPro knockoffs and stuff. They're not quite as good with your audio. A cheap tip for everybody. The one thing I do, and Pooch might be getting ready to show something similar to what I do. I have an old smartphone. I bought I think it's $15 Sony lavalier that's got stereo audio. And you go on Amazon and buy, I think, like a $3 Y that plugs into your headphone jack and gives you a headphone input and a microphone input. I just do that with an audio recording app on one of my old smartphones, and I stick it in my back pocket, and now I've got wireless audio. When I go to then process the video, every video when I start recording, or every clip, if I stop and restart, every one is started with a clap right in front of that microphone. And then I use Adobe Premiere to do my editing. I used to use Blender, but then decided to just enhance my services that I have through Adobe. I just look at the audio tracks and line up the spike on that clap, and now my audio is in sync for that entire clip that I'm working on editing. But it cost me $15, and if you have a camera, you can do it with the smartphone that you already have. Some cameras will take the input. My DSLR doesn't, so I just sync up the audio afterwards.
So if you're doing...
And real quick, I just wanted to catch Lauren from Abuzz Designs in the chat. She said close to what Pooch was saying just a minute ago. Her thoughts on video: don't stress about it. Work with what you have until it no longer suits your needs or it drives you crazy, whichever comes first. And I think for a lot of us that are doing content or these streams, the drive you crazy part is the first part that comes about. And sort of touching on the software there too, she said same goes for software. She started with something that came with Windows for free, then went to Cyberlink Power Director, and now she uses Adobe as well. Same as I said, I started with Blender, which is free. Blender is a super powerful thing, especially if you're doing 3D printing or 3D modeling, or if you want to do animations and stuff. I mean, Blender's used to do animations in some movies and stuff, but it's free.
So Matt, you touched a little bit on lining up your audio to your video. Why aren't you taking advantage of like the multicam in Premiere?
Not exactly sure if I follow it, to be honest. What do you mean? So I've never messed with it, I can tell you that.
So if you turn the microphone on your DSLR on, even if it's crappy audio, you can record on your phone the pure audio track, and your DSLR is still picking up your ambient audio. Then you can put them into a multicam sequence in Premiere. It'll automatically sync your audio and your video up.
See, this is the lovely thing about these Friday Hangouts.
This is exactly,
I honestly had no idea.
This is exactly why I wanted to have this conversation, because amongst the group of us, I'm sure we all know something that somebody else doesn't. And I didn't know Premiere did that either. I mean, I'm not a Premiere guru, and I'm now trying to teach myself After Effects, but that's awesome, Joe Mike. And what was that called? What was
it's multicam, and it's actually really good, especially if you capture multi-angle. So for example, I've got 3 different camera setups in my little studio here. I've got my primary camera that focuses center on me, and then I've got a secondary DSLR, which is for zoom in close-ups, and then I actually use my old Note 5 for additional angle shots, and I keep the microphones on all of them. And I actually record my audio on my laptop using this little guy that I got off Amazon. This is a wireless microphone system, lavalier system, that you can get for $35, and it's awesome. Then I record in Adobe Audition my actual audio track, like the pure track, and the microphones are on all of them. I drag them all into Premiere, and then you select them all, right click, new multicam sequence, bam, it'll go through and take the waveform from every single video and align all the audio. And with a little bit more tweaking, you can just hop back and forth between all the video that you edited. Actually, Jerry, always call him Jerry, Barnacles has a really good video on Adobe Multicam editing. It's just very simple, very easy to follow if you're new to it.
Awesome. I'm going to have to look that up because, I mean, the way I do it's not that hard, but when you do have some of the other videos that I have in the queue right now that I'm working on finishing up editing, it's like multi-day, multi-clips, because I only record 30 seconds or something of a part of something. That will help speed up and maybe actually allow me to get some videos out a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and I mean that's really the name of the game in this. Like any little tip or any little piece like that's well worth learning so that you can get your stuff done more quickly and get it out the door. And we all know that time is the most precious resource for most of us. So, yeah, awesome tip, Joe Mike.
I have a really good source that says that the Premiere's ability to align stuff is decent, but I purchased a utility called Pluralize, and I use it to do my clip alignment. You guys
Joel's in the chat, isn't he?
In the chat.
Joel's in the chat.
He said a bit ago if you need Premiere help, he knows a guy.
Yeah, I have a couple pro tips from that guy.
Yeah, I did the same thing that you did, Matt. When I first started, like, I had 2 cell phones recording. I actually killed the microphone on all of them because I didn't like the audio and I didn't want to mess with the audio tracks on them. And then I just recorded on, I think it was a Sony handheld, like, note recorder and a lav mic for that thing. And I sat there and meticulously lined up all of it inside of, at that time, I think I was using Filmora, Wondershare Filmora. And it was like, it would take me so much longer to just get one video done. But, learning Premiere as a YouTube content creator is just one of the best things that you can do. Learning how to roll cut, roll delete, and just working with multiple cameras, multiple audio sources. That in itself will save you tons of time getting video out.
One of the things, I know there's a few names that I've seen here in the chat that have asked me through Twitter or occasionally in the chat about, like, the Friday night streams, how to get on them. Just for you guys' information, I am possibly this weekend. It depends on how my weekend goes. I'm going to be recording a video on what you need to get up and running with the Friday night streams. And real quick, what all do you guys use for microphones, headphones, video, just for the streams itself? Since I'm asking the question, I'll start out. I have just the $99 Blue Snowball, the black edition. I don't think there's really any difference between it and what Joe Mike has there. I have right now, I was trying out at the beginning, but you guys saw it was choppy, using my cell phone to actually pull the video into XSplit. But like right now I'm on my laptop camera. That's it. Occasionally I'll put the headphones on depending on if my wife and daughters are in the room with us too. But what else? What do you guys use, just real quick, for as far as doing live streams?
Yeah, I'm using the Logitech Tech 920 camera, and it's a Skype headset I got from work. It's a Jabra headset, so I use that on those recording because I don't want to have the speaker going on because my wife is sleeping and I don't want to have too much noise.
Yeah, I've got the Snowball like you've got, and I do that whenever I live stream on my own as well. I use the Snowball. I use a pop filter on it most of the time when I'm right on it. As far as cameras, for the Friday night stream, I use just the 930, the Logitech 930. It's got a slightly wider angle lens on it than the 920. I also use a 920 and a 210 with an adjustable ring and a macro lens, adjustable focus. And headphones, right now I'm using these custom in-ear jobbers that I use for music when I play music. Because right now I don't have any other headphones near me, so I grabbed these.
Real quick, Joel said in the chat he uses a Sennheiser G2 wireless lav system, and he uses his Sony AX53. He uses the HDMI output to a HDMI to USB, and then imports that into OBS, and that's how he does his streaming.
So question for Joel, on that Sennheiser unit, do you use like a digital audio interface to bring that into your laptop via USB, or are you like piping out and going into an analog input? That'd be my question. Because I've got a DAC, I've got a digital audio controller that I use to record music, but I've never really considered using it for running a wireless mic system. But if the audio is better, then that'd be an option.
I have, what do you call it, transcoder for my wireless system. I don't use the wireless lav for my setup, mostly because of batteries. They tend to run out at the most inconvenient time. So that's where I got this one from, was it B&H Audio Video? They have a wide collection of gear. They're out in New York. This is an MXL lav that I'm wearing now. It came two in the kit. I do have the wireless for walking around. That's quite handy. And if I really wanted to get moving, I have a Zoom recorder, which is a higher end portable recording system. So that works quite well for the audio. Right now for video, this is my worst camera in the house right now, and this is a Logitech 615. I have one Logitech 920 and a couple of Logitech 930s. Well, 930s have the extra wide field, which is perfect for doing our work here. So yeah, it all comes together. But then again, I've also streamed just using my phone. So you use what you have.
So Joel, just to answer Joe Mike's, it looks like Joel is talking about he's going straight into his camera, and then from that via HDMI into the computer, which is obviously really nice. And then you don't have to worry about sync up issues as much since it's using the camera. That's really smart actually, and requires less equipment as well, or well, potentially.
Yeah. Less equipment, less processing power, because the computer's getting one stream that's coming in simultaneously, as opposed to, like you said, trying to match them up. And now you've got your CPU trying to lag behind doing everything you're doing on the computer, plus syncing audio and video, which is processor intensive if you have a smaller machine.
Right. Yeah, as far as what I use when I'm doing streams and stuff, I got a couple different things. This is just a USB mic. I don't even know what the brand is, but it was popular on Amazon at the time, but it was only like $40, and it came with the pop filter, which is good because I like to spit and really I get hot when I talk, so you gotta have that pop filter. Then for like my secondary cam, I'll do the C920. My primary is actually an old camcorder that I had that I'm able to get a clean HDMI output out of, which is kind of rare for some of these, and I'll run it through a capture card setup. Unfortunately, there's no mic input on that thing. Otherwise, I'd be looking at doing what Joel is doing. So I'll just run, typically, if I'm not using this guy, if I'm moving around more on the stream, I have a Fifine, F-I-F-I-N-E K037. This thing was like $40, pretty cheap, and it's a wireless lab setup. It does use batteries, like Richard was saying, but honestly, I found they last decently long. And
the same one I've got, but mine has the direct USB.
USB one, yeah.
Yeah, same
thing. The reason I went with this one is because for I'm not doing a lot of vlogging and stuff, but I wanted a pure input that I could actually work with on my camera, which I didn't talk about. I have an EOS M6 that I use for like nicer stuff, and that's a really nice setup for vlogging, and it's got an external mic input as well.
Oh, by the way, Pooch, there is. Does yours have the mini XLR connection?
It does. It does.
Okay, so you can buy earphones and replace the giant capsule that one came with.
You cut out a little. You can buy what phones?
You can buy the AKG lavalier mic, which is uber tiny.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's good. The other one's like a.
Here's that one. So this is the one that comes with it,
right.
And this is the one that I replaced it with. And so, yeah. AKG.
Is the clip any different too? Because I noticed, like, if I'm not wearing like an actual button shirt or whatever, like I was having issues. Like if I was wearing just a regular T-shirt, and it's very directional, at least the one that comes with it. So it was like clipped here, and
oh my gosh, I hated that.
I'd turn my head one way and it'd be fine. I go this way and it'd be totally quiet, and so it's like you really have to have it oriented up and down. So I can't wear my nerdy T-shirts, or I have to like bunch up the shirt when I clip it on. So I'm gonna check out that setup.
The tone changes dramatically depending on where you're at. So like you get very rich bassy tones if you're right on it, and then you go over here and you're like quiet and very high in the frequency spectrum. And this AKG mic fixed all that. But yeah, look into that. It's worth it.
No, Joel, it's vlogging. I am coining it vlogging. I refuse to subscribe to the norm. Yes, I know it's vlogging. It doesn't. But you know what? You botched Twompkin, so we're even.
So Chuck Hellebuck's in the chat. He said, and I'm still like my jaw's still on the floor at this point. He said all his videos he uses his iPad for recording. Let me scroll back up here to that. What was the comment?
And iMovie too. Yeah.
For YouTube videos, I do everything with iPad and a Snowflake microphone through USB to Lightning connector, which, I mean, that great audio from the Snowflake. They actually do really well for a cheap mic. And he said when he joins a stream, he uses his iMac camera and Snowball mic. I'm amazed. Chuck, I never would have guessed that your videos were all shot with an iPad. That's impressive.
Chuck,
and he does all his editing on the iPad as well.
Records his videos with his iPad. He's officially my mother.
Ooh. Chuck is impressive, though. I will second that. So
I'll tell you what. I mean, okay, so we were all talking. You don't have to spend a lot of money on hardware. Now, I mean, granted, iPads aren't the cheapest thing out there, but all I gotta say is, damn.
That's very impressive.
I just got an iPad Pro, so I'm going to have to give that a try. I never even considered trying to record with that. I can tell you one drawback to using a lav: when you grow a beard, if it hits the
it's a beard screen.
Richard, you got to learn the trick. With the longer beard, you just clip it inside of the beard. You get painted black and white, and it just.
You get the beard jewelry. You can get those rings. I'll just make it a lav.
Gross.
And yes, Joe Mike called you a mother, Chuck. His mother.
It's a compliment.
Yes, my mother is a saint.
One other thing I wanted to show off was I've been playing with this. This is a Ceramonic like mini mixer. I don't know if you've seen these before, but like I wanted to be able to do a lav input and like I didn't talk about this yet, but like this is what I was carrying around at Maker Faire. So basically my phone with an external mic. This is the Rode Video Mic Me, and I've got an adapter so that it. That's the one thing you like have to watch, like the tip ring configuration on some of these. So you have to have adapters for different things. But I can use it with my M6. I can use it with this and plug it into the mixer. So if I want to do a combination, and it's got like a little bit of, it's just a 2-channel, and you can switch between mono and stereo and stuff. So that's kind of nice if you're on the go, having a little flexibility for better audio. Because again, it's all about audio, really. Should be about audio, I'd say, first and foremost.
I'm still speechless about Chuck using his iPad.
Well, yeah, you made a point that it's expensive, but most people have an iPad because of maybe having kids. So
yeah, I mean,
use that and not have to invest in other equipment.
Well, you figure, I mean, so, okay, the iPad gives you the screen real estate to do, because he does his editing on his iPad too, which I've heard of a lot of people doing their editing on iPads, or I've even heard people doing their YouTube editing on their cell phone, and I can't believe that. That would drive me nuts. But yeah, you figure, I mean, almost everybody's got an iPad or a cell phone with a decent camera. If you can do it on an iPad, you can pretty much do it on a cell phone too. Again, like I said, Chuck's videos, I would have thought they were shot with a DSLR or something higher res than an iPad. That just blows me away, but it reinforces the point that you can do this with anything. What you've got is the best thing you've got.
Camera you have on you. It's the best one.
And Xander and I mean, we have a little bit more of a challenge than most because there's two of us. So we use OBS, and I actually have three webcams. I have two of the Logitech 920s, the main one that we're on right now. This one mounted on this fancy lamp stand, and I have a 310 above the head to allow us to show the workspace. But where the challenge comes in is OBS has a really hard, well, I won't even say it's OBS's fault. Logitech, in their infinite wisdom, the cameras don't save their settings. And when you have two of them, it really causes weird problems, because sometimes I'll make an adjustment on this camera to show something up close, and that camera will change. So I actually physically took that 920 apart and set the focus. We're also sitting about 6 feet away from that camera so that it's wide enough to get both of us. So I set that focus to be this far away because he was blurry all the time. I was starting to believe that he was like the Flash, and he just moved really fast and was always blurry. So I did have to take it apart and manually focus it. And then this one I run the software focus, but it's such a challenge. I use a third-party application called I can't even remember what it's called, and it doesn't say it on here, but it's like Cam Control, I think, and the guy doesn't even support it anymore. It's long gone, whatever. And it does allow me to work some things, but most of the time, as soon as you reboot the computer, you have to reset all of the settings. So that's really kind of why I went looking for a new camera option. And what I'm thinking, and with all of these amazing minds that are here tonight, this is the perfect place to ask this question. I'm thinking about buying a camcorder, and not necessarily a 4K because I don't have that kind of funding, but a camcorder, and then Elgato makes an HDMI capture card, an internal one. I'm close enough to my computer that I could HDMI right into the computer, and so that would also give me the camcorder for going and doing remote stuff. So, thoughts?
The only thing that I would caution about that is when you do your shopping for the camcorder, or even if you went like with a DSLR option, pay close attention to the diligence on the HDMI output resolution. I have a Sony mirrorless camera that has HDMI out, but it will only go up to 720 even if I'm recording at 1080. So if I did that with a capture card, then I would only get capture at 720p and not the full 1080 like I'd want. So that would be the only piece of advice that I'd have on that.
Also, to expand on that, because I originally got this guy thinking, oh, it could be the best of all worlds, the M6. But when I say it doesn't have a clean HDMI out, it'll HDMI out at 1080p, but then it shows the UI for the camera on there, and so it looks like, you know, a terrorist recording half the time, you know, with all your screen.
What a terrible design.
I know, right? And so on some of the older ones, like the M4s and stuff, there's firmware hacks where you can actually like clean it. There's something called Magic Lantern that you can put on a lot of the older Canons and stuff like that that will allow you to clean a lot of that stuff up and customize it. But the other thing is the sensor on these guys is not really designed to run that long, and so like this will auto shut off after 30 minutes.
That's pretty common for the Canons, from what I understand.
Very common, very common. So it's not, it looks really sharp and clean and all that stuff, but you gotta it's not worth it because it keeps turning itself off, and a lot of them the sensors will overheat, and that's why it does it.
My Sony overheats, but that's you talk about the UI being on the HDMI feed, and that's one of the reasons I like this HDMI out on the Sony is because I use the HDMI out as a monitor. So I've got a TV screen set up behind the entire thing, and I can see how much record time I've got, how much battery. I can see if it's actually recording. Before I had that monitor set up, the Sony would like overheat, shut down. I'd keep going for 5 minutes, then realize when the lens sucked back in that, oh, well, I don't know how much I just lost right there. But
yeah, I had this problem. I started with a Canon 5D Mark II, and the file system on the CF card shut down the video after 2 gigabytes. So I was doing a build on my Prusa, and I had no idea the recording had stopped.
Such a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have the Sony A6000, which I think, Joe Mike, you said either tonight or at one point you have one as well.
Yeah.
Same problem. Darn thing shuts off. And like Martin just said, you're doing something, you're painting something, you're doing whatever, and the stupid thing shuts off because it overheated.
I found a hack to fix that, though, if you want to know it.
I was going to strap a heat sink to it.
Well, so you know how the screen comes out but doesn't like fold away?
Yeah.
So I bring it out all the way and just kind of let some air back there, but then I take an old heat sink from an old Repwrap style machine, like I think it was like a hip top Prusa, and I just set that heat sink against the in between the camera body and the display, and I have not had it shut down from overheating since.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing something like that.
It's a good hack.
Yeah, that's kind of the reasons that I shied away from buying a DSLR, because I'd like to have had one. I'm not a photographer, never have been, but I could learn, and it would be nice to have a decent camera. But my main thing is video, and I mean, for any of you guys that have actually watched any of our videos, I talk a lot, so my videos go on kind of a long time. So yeah, that's kind of why. The other thing that I liked about the camcorder too is that I could flip the screen around, which would get him to actually look at the camera instead of at himself on the screen. He would then interact more with the people watching the video. Right now, I actually have a Post-it note, and I wish I could spin the camera around and show you. I have a Post-it note stuck to our camera with a smiley face drawn on it, and it says Booger Eater underneath it, so that I can just say to him, "Watch Booger Eater," and he'll look up at the camera. You guys, we're gonna actually, we've been kind of kicking it around. We're gonna film a Xander's Thing Thursday. We're gonna do it as a live feed one time, just so that everybody can see the misery that I go through getting this kid to do a 7-minute video. It takes like 2 hours of recording.
Yeah.
It'll get faster though, right? You're getting quicker, aren't you?
Yeah, we tried the teleprompter thing with him, and like, I mean, he was reading it and we couldn't slow it down enough, and he was just like reading through it with, and like no inflection. And so the last couple, the one that he just did with Filament, and the one that'll be out next week, we just did it in chunks, and then I put it together edit wise, and it went a lot smoother. So he's very hard on himself. Anytime that he messes up, he takes it so hard, and I've tried to explain that everybody messes up, you know.
Oh my gosh, Xander, yeah. See all the retakes that half of us have.
Yeah.
Mess up?
No, really?
Most of my time editing is me taking out my ums and uhs and the 30 seconds of, well, that just tailed off into nothing. That was a tangent that I didn't want to take. Here's a little story about me when I was 5 that no one's going to care about, so that's gone.
I leave all that stuff in there. I want everybody to know.
That's the endearing stuff, man. Those are the nuggets.
I am who I am, and I mean, if people are going to like me, they're going to like me for who I am. So I leave all that weird stuff. Mainly if you go and sit the 10.5 hours through our live build of the A8, there's all kinds of stories. You'd have thought I was drinking, but I don't drink.
I leave most of the.
Go to my other channel, the Songology, and listen to that. It's from the radio station. We have stories about music, but Bruce, who puts the stories together, he has a very slow and deliberate talking style. And to get it on radio, I picked it up so it sounds like he's speaking like this. I'm editing about 3 edits per sentence in his stories to get it done. So a 10-minute segment, it could take me 2 hours, 3 hours to edit it together.
Yeah, Xander, by the end of Xander's Thing Thursdays, I have to actually increase his speed to 105% because he's so tired by the end. He's like, oh, thanks for tuning in. So I have to like speed him up. So he's like, thanks for tuning in.
Get the energy. The one thing it's really changed with the technology is the cameras. And when I started doing YouTube stuff, I just borrowed from my commercial side because this is a Panasonic camera. And this thing, you can get good video, great audio. It's a professional camera.
That's no moon.
So it's a nice unit. The only thing is, it weighs a ton and it's huge. Yeah. And so if you're trying to get into the small stuff here, I no longer use it. This thing's been gathering dust for the last 6 months. And I've just gone with Logitech cameras. And Brenda shoots with her DSLR. And we need the close-ups with that and goes with it. Much smaller, much easier to use.
That's what led me to the mirrorless format, because I have a DSLR as well, but this size and weight and stuff like that is super nice. Like, you get really good quality. It's kind of the best of all worlds for portability and weight and all that stuff too. So if you're looking at getting something new, definitely want to check that and make sure that you can monitor well. And I always am a big advocate of whatever you get, if you can get an external mic input for it, do it, because it's all about audio.
Yeah, you want the audio. Now, another thing we get asked a lot about is lighting. Now, these cameras are coming out. They're getting better and better. You don't have to worry about it as much. I started in video in 1981, and we never had heat in the studio because you fire up the lights and the air conditioning kicks in, and even though if it's minus 30 outside. So we poured a lot of light on anything because we're dealing with tubes. But with these cameras, right here, I'm pretty much in a closet with no backlight. The lighting that you're seeing here is coming off my 2 screens, the existing lighting. Now, if you want to add light, like over in Studio A, I call it, where Brenna is, I have a light bar. It's just a piece of wood across the ceiling, and a large number of LED lights on there. And in order to control them, we just use cooking parchment. And with this, you can drop the lighting, you can soften it out. And this stuff's designed, what do they say up here? It's 425 degrees Fahrenheit, so they can take it, especially when you're using LED lights. It softens things very nicely and lets you play with the lighting. And the other great toy out there, I just get this, I haven't mounted this one onto a board yet, but this just from the hardware store. Instant light bar. If you go into the professional field, you'll spend $500 to get something like this, and I think this is like $20. And you can put it down. This is running off its battery. I don't even have it plugged in. It's normally AC. This with some parchment on there, you can just smooth out the lights quite nicely.
Yeah, I've actually I've got it. The lights on my ceiling fan, I've got wax paper clipped to it. I've got this light over here, I got wax paper clipped to it just because it floods out. In fact, I see now I put that light wrong. I'm really glaring on this side, but yeah, lighting is definitely hard.
And the comment there is light temp scene's different. That's from Design Make Teach.
It is, and there's a reason for that. I know that my lighting needs work here, but the thing is I'm moving in a week, and so I haven't really taken the time to set up my full lighting rig. And I realize I haven't tuned this camera and stuff either. So it's really because I'm lazy is the long answer to that. But it's also because this particular camera has different configurations. If I switch over to the C920, it would probably be it would be similar to what you guys.
Here's a news update for the night. Joel just posted in the chat, apparently on Twitter, Adafruit just bought Radio Shack.
Ooh.
Too bad every single Radio Shack anywhere remotely close to me just closed.
Are they? Are they going to be brick and mortars anymore, or is it really just the brand? I wonder.
I managed a Radio Shack down in Springfield, Missouri, and that makes me very happy, actually. Very happy.
Yeah. Knowing that what Adafruit is and the fact that they bought Radio Shack, I've been saying for years that Radio Shack needed to go back to the way it used to be. Not cell phones, not electronics, parts.
Yeah, no, it turned into a big cell phone store. Best Buy looked at buying it years ago to turn it into all Best Buy mobiles. When they were pushing to have more Best Buy mobile stores out, they were just going to buy Radio Shacks and turn them into Best Buy mobiles.
Sprint bought them for that same reason, and then who knows what happened there, but
well, they bought them and then they closed any of them that were within a certain distance from an existing Sprint store. So they actually,
which is funny because our Radio Shack, one of the ones that just closed, there was literally a Sprint store right next door, but it just closed. Like with this last mass closing that they did when they closed. I honestly think I went from having a Radio Shack in any direction about 5 miles from my house to none within about 4 hours of my house.
Yeah, the one closest to my house, there was a Sprint store right across the street, so they closed that one, which, I liked having Radio Shack. It was quick to get to, but I loved them closing better because it got me into Arduinos. I bought like everything Arduino that they had. I bought tons of shields and stuff for Arduinos for like $7 and $8 a piece. So it was a great thing when they closed for me, but they did finally close the one that they'd kept open. So now I don't have a Radio Shack, but I just Amazon everything.
Well, here in Canada, Radio Shack left several years ago, and when they closed, I stocked up on a ton of stuff. Unfortunately, when we got hit by the flood in 2013, all of it went away. So, but trying to find electronic components when you're in a rural community, yes, thank God for Amazon and being able to work online. It was always handy to get down there. Now, the one thing I loved about Radio Shack was way back 1980, the summer of 1980. That's when I got my first TRS-80 from them. So I learned about computers.
The handy computers.
Yeah.
Okay.
They couldn't believe I upgraded to 16K, but.
Topic of lights. I don't know if anybody saw while everybody else was talking. I just kind of shot a video here in the corner up there where it says Earth. Of the lighting that I have going on right now. So a couple of people commented about the green screen behind me, and now I'm actually like playing with the features as we're talking. This is a $6 piece of fabric back here from Joann Fabrics for the green screen. There's a light to my right and a light to my left that are lighting just the screen. And then I have all these are just like the tin can lights from Lowe's where you just screw a bulb in, you get the aluminum housing. So as far as lighting goes, that's what I've got my setup doing. Sorry.
You talking about these, Matt?
Yep. There you go.
Yeah. With my fancy lens covering over it.
Wax paper diffuser. I like it. Yeah, that's what Zidim was just talking about.
Yeah, I have them also on my LED lights.
Yeah.
Brenna works in film, and they actually have a special name for paper clips because way back when, somewhere in a production, when they went to buy some, they said, well, not paper clips, clothespins. That doesn't work. So they came up with a fancy name for them, so it go through accounting. But yeah, they're still used in the film industry, but they just have a different name.
Yep.
Yeah, I bought a simple light kit from Amazon that gave me 2 soft boxes, and yeah. Oh, what?
Would that run you there, Joe Mike?
I don't remember. It wasn't.
They're not terrible.
No, it was.
No, I think they're like about $60 for the kit with 2 of them.
That sounds about right for these.
Those are
huge.
Those are LED based.
These are not. These have a giant. Oh, I gotta show you this. This is the best part. Ow.
This is the cool thing about streaming and having
itself?
video sources.
No, my headphones don't have the length required. I'm going to take the thing up with this one, and kind of peek in if we can.
Oh,
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
CFLs, baby.
That CFL.
Oh, that's a huge light bulb, man.
That thing is the size of my
That's pretty
cranium,
size.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. The big curly.
Yeah, it's huge. I'm afraid of when it comes time for me to have to replace that.
What's the color temp they say that you want for daylight? Like is it 2700 or 3200, something like that?
For daylight? I thought
what's recommended for live stream setups typically?
You want the cool white.
Cool white.
The
Which
bright
white's
white.
around 3600 to 5K.
5K. Okay.
When you get up into some of the bright whites or the daylights, they become blue. You pick up too much blue. So
6K and above is blue.
Daylight is blue. Bright white is
5200.
your higher spectrum right before the blue. Cool white is a little bit lower before it turns yellow.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going off of the headlights on my car. This is how I gauge all the lights. I'm like, yeah, that's a Mercedes. I don't own one of those.
The Xenon. Yeah.
That's a Beamer. I don't own one of those. There's a Nissan. I own one of those. That's a 5K light.
Bingo.
Aftermarket lights.
Now you got to get the ground effects to go with it, so you're looking like you do it.
Yeah. I did swap out every single light bulb in my car with an LED equivalent. So I've got my fog lights are 5K LED fog lights. It already had low beam LEDs. I think they're 6K because there's a slight color difference, but not much. And then I did LED turn signals, LED brake lights, LED backup lights, LED license plate lights, the internal dome lights LED. I went a little nuts when I got that car.
Do you get better fuel mileage now?
Now his battery
Absolutely.
never dies.
Or like when it doesn't have to work as hard?
My alternator's like, why am I even turning right now?
Put a clutch on it like the air conditioning compressor.
Yeah. Just, cycle the alternator. That will be something.
Just don't get the cheap ones or they flicker a little bit.
Yeah, no, I did a lot of research to make sure that the lights that I found were at least, they had good reviews and the whatnot. Because in previous cars, I tried doing xenon, what do you call them? Xenon conversion kits. HID conversion kits. And those things flickered like crazy. And it just drove me nuts to the point to where I took it out and put the bulbs back in. That was before LED bulbs were widely available, though. And it was on a Ford Escape, so it had no business being on there in the first place.
Yeah. Nick says you use a lot more blinker fluid that way, though.
My blinker, I don't even want to talk about my blinker fluid. It's almost as low as my headlight fluid.
Yeah.
Well, and then the alternator puts out more current than you're consuming, and it burns out your muffler bearings.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the flanges go next, and it's
you bend your Johnson rod, and it's all over at that point.
Yeah. I think I just need to go ahead and upgrade to a flux capacitor and just be done with it.
The Mr. Fusion, dude. You got to get the Mr. Fusion.
I don't know if my car's compatible with the Mr. Fusion. That's the issue.
There's adapter kits.
Speaking of flux capacitors and Mr. Fusion, I just want to rub it all in because I know none of you guys are going to be at Orlando Maker Faire this month, but the Back to the Future DeLorean is going to be there.
Yes. We have no less than 6 DeLoreans that drive around Independence, Missouri, all decked out in the different stages of the Back to the Future DeLorean. We got an Ecto 1. We've got the stupid from Dumb and Dumber, that stupid
The
van.
dog?
The Shaggin' Wagon?
The dog. We got the Shaggin'. The Shaggin' Wagon drives around Independence fully decked out.
That's sweet. Get a picture.
Same guy owns all of them.
Pics or it never happened.
Have to get it next time.
Yeah. The Shaggin' Wagon. That's
Best
awesome.
thing ever was seeing it parked out in front of an Arby's parking lot, and I'm like, that's fairly accurate.
Little tip about the DeLoreans, all of the welds on those hand done, hand welded. True story. No machine welding on those.
Another little unknown fact, the rear wheels are 15-inch and the fronts are 14.
Yeah, very good. I want doors that go like this and like this.
We should probably cycle this back onto topic. We're veering off a little bit, but I'm going to put Maker Faire in there at least.
What software do people use?
Premiere.
Premiere Pro.
When you're streaming?
Your CS.
Oh, OBS to stream.
OBS.
I'm playing with XSplit.
I tried XSplit, wasn't a fan of the interface. I went back to OBS just because it's familiar and it's warm and cozy, and I've already got a little keypad that's macroed to all the OBS keyboard shortcuts, so I can switch scenes quickly, and it's just, yeah.
Hey, here's a question.
You have one of these units then?
No, I don't have a Stream Deck. I wish I did. Those are sweet. It's just, it's a little 8-key, I don't know what they call them. It's like a little Cherry MX key, little 8-key that's programmable. Nothing too fancy.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at, Joe Mike. I didn't know the Stream Deck even existed, and I built this thing. This is my hotbox. Runs off of an Arduino, and these are arcade buttons. This guy. This gives me 4 selections. So each time that you click that over, it changes it to different programming.
So you got levels then.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've got it set. I had no idea the Stream Deck even existed. I thought I was onto this amazing idea that was going to just revolutionize the world. And then I discovered Stream Deck just like a week or so ago on Twitter.
Well, that one I could use without my glasses. This thing here, the Stream Deck, that's very handy. Programmable keys, and you can go into folders. So I have one button to switch when I'm using the Twitch if I'm streaming over there. But very easy to use, easy to program, and you don't have to worry about what camera you have running when you're streaming.
The one thing that I have over the Stream Deck is that Stream Deck's $150. I built this for under $20. So
that's a big something.
Yeah. Plus, I did it. This was me ground up. I mean, this was the first thing I ever designed and 3D printed. I mean, I even got our Fun King embossed on the back of it and stuff. So,
now, Glenn, do you have the Jitterbug cell phone with the giant buttons to go alongside that?
Oh, and the great big remote control for
the remote, the universal remote with the giant button. That thing's sweet too. Yeah.
Listen. This was built on a necessity, not because I can't see. I have glasses for that, but because I was tired of fumbling around trying to find the keys for the different camera angles. So this thing is quick. I can punch that button without even looking at it. Plus, it works really well for him. So
this is the little guy that I use. It literally is just a little 8-key Cherry MX keyboard with a board. You actually, in order to program it, you have to pull the jumper pin on the back, put it over onto the other side, and then edit a config file in text editor, and then put it back. And I mean, it's like really bare bones. And you have to remember where all the things are. It's not like the Stream Deck where it has the nice little screens on it that tell you what is what. But yeah, it works for what I need.
You guys are such nerds. No, that's awesome.
That's awesome. You know, Pooch, when you finally break down, you're like, God, I got to have one of those Fun King hot boxes. There's a video on my channel that shows you how to build it.
I don't have time for that. Can I commission you to build me one?
You know, somebody else asked me that too. They're like, "Oh, I totally want one of those. Would you make me one?" And I would. I really would. If you want one, I'll make it for you at cost.
Sweet. I just want one that makes funny noises when I press the buttons.
Yeah, it should.
Actually, it's funny you say that because Xander and I talked about making a sound effects box for him for his videos. So pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Heck, it looks like you have a customer in Joel.
Hey, I called it first.
And I called it second.
And I would be totally until we hit 10. Let's say the first 10 people, I will make it at cost. After that, I want $900 a piece. But yeah, Joel, if you're on it, if you're serious, I'd totally make you one. I'd even take my logo off and put yours on it.
Everything else is branded Fun King.
Well, you know, it's funny because like I have on Thingiverse, I have a case for the Raspberry Pi, and I am very pleased with it. It fits magnificently. And I can't stand when you get something that's got somebody else's brand on it. So I put my branding on it, but I put it inside. So I'd always know it was mine. So Chuck joins us.
Who it is.
The Hellebuck.
Hellebuck.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Jack.
Your head
me
is
out of
so
bed.
large.
Is this better?
He's got the Zoom. He's gonna talk about his equipment. Full
That's
Zoom.
that's
There you go.
manual zoom.
That's the iPad, Chuck.
Yeah, no, this is the iMac and Snowball.
Oh yeah, the good old Snowball.
Snowball and. Well, that's good
So I need to
combo.
stop.
Well, we were waiting for you to tell us all about your setup there.
Oh, okay.
You don't think that you can
I'm
just
gonna-
pop in and not have everything just stop?
No, I love throwing that out there. I do everything with iPad because everyone gets shocked by that.
You know, the more I thought about that, I kind of vaguely remember hearing that before. I'm still speechless about that. I can't believe it. Because your
I'm
videos
just too lazy to learn anything new. That's what it is.
Yeah, but the quality of your videos are really good. I just never expected that coming off an iPad like that.
It took some practice and a lot of lighting, and sometimes I got to delete some stuff because it doesn't turn out that good. But yeah, I do it all editing and because I can do it anywhere. I can take the iPad with me and do it anywhere, and sit watch TV. I can edit, and it's easy. I just gotten used to it.
Is that a TiVo in the background or a CR10? I can't tell.
That which one?
There's two back there. The one with the control box that I can see with the spool on it. Yeah, that one.
This here?
That one. Yep.
That is a CR10 Mini.
That's a I didn't know it came in mini.
Yeah, two versions. This is what's strange. The CR10 has two versions. One has an acrylic base, and one has the metal extrusion base, just like the original CR10.
Huh.
So I don't know what's going on, but they sent me one of each. Got one from Banggood and then one from GearBest, and they're the same except for the base and the bed.
Well, darn the
But
luck.
what a difference. Yeah.
I know. I hate when those companies just randomly send me 3D printers. And I really wish I had your guys' problems.
Yeah, I have to buy my printer.
I fill out the form on GearBest. I do it every Wednesday. I don't know why I picked Wednesday. I do, but every Wednesday I fill out the form requesting a 3D printer, and in the comments I say, if you don't want to send me this one, send me whatever one you want to. I just want some content.
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, like I've been trying to get GearBest to send me anything just to review. I mean, I was like, I will review like a game or something, just anything. And I heard absolutely nothing back from them until about a week ago, and this lady was like, hey, we found your YouTube channel and we were wondering if you would like to participate in a review, and we were wanting to send you a review unit. And I'm like, okay. I still don't know what they're gonna send, but hey, I'm not gonna send me like
it's a fidget spinner.
Do it. Send me a fidget spinner. I will record a 10-minute video on a fidget spinner. I have before. Actually, I think that was a closer to 2-hour video on a fidget spinner.
Not a dare?
No, it was that fidget spinner that I made out of the Color Fab Protopasta stainless.
Yeah.
And I did the printing and the polishing and all that, and that ended up being like an 1.5 to 2-hour live stream. But it was fun. It was just a fidget spinner.
Well, I just wish that these companies would worry more about putting the review units out to people who will make quality content, as opposed to worrying about the fact of how many subscribers. You know, they don't realize that people watch your stuff. They may not subscribe, but they still watch your stuff. The stuff is still going to be out there. I mean, I've watched 1 million YouTube videos and never subscribed to the channels, because I was looking for something specific. But they're always worried about how many subscribers, how many and I realize it's return on investment, but they're going to get that return either way.
Right.
There's something you can fill out on Social Blade. You can fill blue something. Anybody know about that? Blue
Social
blue.
Social blue book.
Social blue books. Yeah. So you fill that out, and it'll evaluate you or give you a valuation of what you can work with. Yeah, it's on Social Blade or TubeBuddy. I forget which one.
So like it's Kelly Blue Book, but from my channel?
Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, it'll basically tell you what your channel is worth as far as advertising, what you want to get.
Let's look at that right now.
The target. Typically, you can only get about maybe half that as a true sponsor, and that still takes negotiation. But that's where you can use for valuation, like in taxes, when they give you a printer, and you can say, well, this is the value I gave them back, based on Social Blue Book. So it's a wash.
Yeah, I just use tenacity and endless nagging. That usually
he's relentless.
Well, and that's kind of what I figured. If I just keep sending the form, they only replied back one time, and they told me that they appreciate my interest and that I'm welcome to join their affiliates program, which I've already been a part of since I bought my AA. And so I didn't even reply to that. I just ignored it, and I just keep filling out the form. Either they're going to block me or they're going to get tired of it and send me something. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Just give him an A-net or something. Just yeah.
Just shut this guy up. I'm tired of hearing him. Just give him something. And I don't care. They can send me their worst pile of junk. I just want content. I don't want to be a review site. I want that to be known. I'm not looking to be the guy that only does reviews. I want to have fun content and new projects and that kind of stuff. But I also love free stuff.
I mean, ultimately, they're trying to get traffic driven to their site in general, not just necessarily for a specific product, but just traffic to their site. So like I mean I was pretty forward with the lady who contacted me. I was just like, listen, I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. I'm like I don't show favoritism when it comes to stuff. If I find something wrong with it, I'm gonna point it out. That's just I think transparency in that is very important, especially if it's like, hey, this printer is like a $350 printer. Don't expect the quality of a $700 printer or a $2,000 printer. But, for a $350 printer, it's not terrible. But here's a couple of things you can do to possibly make it better. Here's a couple of things that I wish they had done differently. Or, if it just outright sucks, just be like, you know what, I'm not a huge fan of this printer, but here we're going to mess with it anyway and see what happens.
The thing is, you guys, there were many, I've been doing this over 3 years now. There was a long time I didn't get printers either. And I asked and I requested stuff. And I mean, you still don't see an Ultimaker on my channel, and I've asked for those. So it's just a matter of sticking with it. I mean, it really wasn't until I hit like 10K and I was doing a lot of social stuff and you're trying to anyway. And then it started to click a little bit. And then a few reviews got out, and then they saw that, and then apparently they liked the reviews, so then I started to get more. But it took a while. This is not something they just dumped in my lap one day and said, here you go. Yeah. So it just stick to it. It happens almost to the point I've turned printers away. I've had so many want to send me kits now. Review our printer. It's $200 printer, and I said, no, I ain't got time to put a kit together. I know what a $200 printer is going to be like, and I've even said, hey, I've suggested other 3D printer channels.
So here's where you're going wrong, Chuck. You have to say to them, listen, I will take it, but you need to understand that I have to sub this out to one of my minions, and then you just choose any one of us and give it to us. We'll take it.
And Chuck, maybe we can back this up because you do reviews. I know up at New York talking to Preston, he said like all those skateboards and the printers and stuff that he has, even the ones where he's told we don't want them back, and give them away. He can't sell them. He can't do much of anything with them besides dispose of them.
Yeah, no. What they want you to keep it, so you'll use it occasionally on a channel for another project or something. That's really what they want. I have contacted some of them. I've given some away to schools. In fact, I just gave what is that? Can't think of it. So the plastic covered one, $299. Shit, drawing a blank. But anyway, I gave that away to a school, and I contacted the company. I said, look, I want to give this away to a school for their engineering department, and they were like all happy about it. So like, yeah, go for it. So I got approval to do that. I've had other ones where they said the only place I can give it is to a Makerspace if I don't use it on the channel, and then they have to know, approve the Makerspace kind of. But then I've had some that they told me it's dispose of it, don't send it back because they don't want to pay for shipping. I'm not paying for shipping, and then I'm kind of stuck. So I do what I can with it, but usually that's why when they ask me and I say no, I don't have room for it, I'll give out other YouTubers. I say contact this guy, contact this guy. If they don't, there's nothing I can do about it. But I've passed many of you guys on to them and say, here, check them out.
We appreciate that for sure.
I've been really struggling because I'm getting this Moe on the way. And with the Moe, I'm wondering, how am I going to use it with my channel? And I'm going to be focusing on, it's the tool for my model train hobby. And how can I use this tool? And I am going to stream the build, but that's the side. I'm not here to look at the printers themselves. It's how to use it as a tool. So it's been a big head scratcher because you see a lot of channels where, okay, we built this one, let's move that one on, let's build another printer. And, there's a lot of people out there, okay, let's get past the build. How are you using it? How are you tweaking it? How can you move on with this product?
Yeah.
So Richard, did Mark cut you a deal on the Moai, or did you pay full price, or did he give you one?
Oh, I paid full price, and that Mark didn't know I was getting one until he saw the order going across his desk. But I've been watching Chris's channel. Chris has been doing a great series on his build. What's nice about it is he's doing it in very short segments.
Yeah.
And so it's, a way of doing it.
Oh, sorry, Richard, go ahead. I was just going to repeat some stuff on the stream of what Joel was saying here in the chat. Number one, Chuck, we'll get back to this, I guess. He kept saying your name and Mod T, so I'm assuming that's supposed to clue you into something there.
Yeah, it was Mod T.
Oh, okay. And he also said if you do not have a signed contract with a company, if they send you something, you can do with it what you want. However, if you don't do what the company would like you to do, you risk never getting more products from them. So that is a risk you take, which I mean, I guess is somewhat a risk you take by doing an honest review as well. I mean, if it's a junk printer where it's got issues and you point that out and it pisses them off, they may drop you and they may never send you another printer again after that. They should take it as constructive criticism as long as you're reasonable about it.
That's such a tough spot to be in because I respect so many people in this community that really genuinely want to give their honest opinion of the printer, but have that fear that you don't want to bite the hand that feeds. You want to do some more reviews and stuff like that. And so it's a fine line, balancing that. And when we were at Maker Faire, actually, the panel was talking about how a lot of the strategies that people will use, if they come across something that's bad, they'll generally just stop talking about it as kind of an in-between. So maybe they won't blast them, on social media, but you won't really hear about it. And then that kind of tells you a little something too. But it's got to be tough for people that are content creators and become a little more dependent on their channel for their income, and it's their livelihood and all this stuff. There's certainly content creators out there that, they buy in, man. They'll give a review, but that doesn't necessarily do anybody any good. So it's tough because you see it both ways. I think the smartest ones are diversifying their income streams so that you're not dependent on any one thing. And if you know, something dries up somewhere else, you got a book or other content creation means to subsidize, and it allows you to kind of be your own person a little bit more and stay honest and true to yourself. And I think that's really important.
One of the things I like about Angus's stream is when he's doing a build, if he runs into a problem, I've seen a few times on there where he goes, this isn't working, and you get the edit there, and he goes, okay, I've contacted the company, and this is the fix, or I couldn't get support, or what have you. So that's part of the story with the printer, is what sort of support's behind it. So it doesn't matter what you're going to get, you're going to need some kind of support, whether it's...
That's what I was just going to ask, because, I mean, say you know, ABC company sends you this printer, and they say, you know, we want you to review this, but we're going to send you this printer for a review. Is that okay? Yes, I'll absolutely take the printer and review it. And you get it, and it is such a massive pile of junk. Do you then just reach back out to them and say, listen, it's terrible, it's a horrible printer. Do you still want me to do the review? Because I'm going to say it's a horrible, terrible printer, and then take it from there. Or do you do the review and say it's a horrible, terrible print? I mean, do you kind of give them a chance to correct the issue first, or to just pull out and say, okay, well, don't do the review? And then does that make us as content creators, is it being not necessarily dishonest, but not really fair to the end user? Because now we know it's a piece of junk.
I think too. Go ahead, Chuck. I'm sorry.
You got to be honest. I mean, bottom line, you got to be honest. I mean, up front, when they do offer your printer, you spell that out right up front. I'll accept the printer, but I'm going to give you an honest review. It's going to be, my audience is going to get the honest review. If it's garbage, I'm going to say it's garbage. If it's good, it's going to be good. If you're still willing to send me a printer after that, then send me the printer. Now, I will sometimes, if it's something I think they could maybe fix, or it's an early beta or something like that, I'll contact them and say, here's the problem I'm having. But in most cases, no, you send me a printer. It's the printer someone else would get if they spent their money. So I'm doing that for my audience, so they don't have to spend the money. So then I open the box and I take it and put it up, and to the best of my ability, I go, this is what I found. And if it's crap, I say it's crap. And I've burned a couple bridges. There's companies that won't talk to me. They won't ship me anymore.
Do you
they're pissed because I was honest. And I'm like, okay, you know, whatever.
Do you give the manufacturer even an opportunity to, I know you said if it's a beta, and you have always got a good relationship with those guys, and I know Joel does as well. I mean, you have CEOs of companies showing up to help you out. But so I'm not going to pick on any, but again, ABC company sends you that print. I mean, do you give them the chance? You say, look, this is what I got and this is what I found. Is there a fix for it before you do your review? Or do you just run on exactly what they gave you?
It depends on the company and how they've approached it and what our agreement was going into it. But like I said, I tell them up front, I'm going to open it as a new user, and it's good, it's good, it's bad, it's bad. Now, if you bought a printer and you opened it and you had a problem, you're probably going to try and contact the company. So yeah, I will try to contact them to see if they respond. And sometimes the response are so ridiculous. You know, oh, what do you want us to send you another printer? No, I want you to explain to me why it's doing this. And
I think
I'm afraid I would answer that question. Yes, I want you to send me another one. I want you to send me 10. I'll get one good one out of it.
Hey, Joel, come on, buddy. You got to jump on. You got to jump on this topic, man. We want to hear from you on this because we know you have more experience with this than anybody.
Joel did make a comment a little bit ago in the chat. He said, "Don't buy from the hand that feeds you." And don't blast their affiliate links. It's not don't bite the hand that feeds you. Don't buy the hand that feeds you. Yeah. And I think that's a good play on words because, you know, if you do get a crappy printer and all you do is talk about it over and over and over again about how this was such a crap printer, does more PR for the company. It gets their name out there more. And if you don't support a printer because you didn't agree with the quality of the printer that you got for your review, then don't post affiliate links for it as well. As sort of a way of saying, you know, I'm telling you, don't buy this printer. Do one video on it, and then, like Chuck said, just let it go after that.
Now, yeah. I've bought several printers. My Fabricator Mini I bought, the $154 CPC on eBay I bought, My first Wanho printer that I reviewed, I bought. There's another one in there somewhere I bought. So, because I wasn't getting printers, but I wanted to try them out. So I bought it with the idea that I would use it, and in worst case, I sell it on eBay and get some of my money back. You know.
Yeah, and you gotta have content. So I mean, it's not
exactly.
It's not like you can sit around at like 100 subs and just wait for a printer to come in the mail so you can start creating more content. You kind of have to drive that. I think a lot of that, like when I first started out, I was actually working with Folder Tech on a lot of stuff, and so the Folder Tech FT5 just came out. So I actually bought the Folder Tech FT5. And just had so many problems with it. And I wanted so badly to do a review and be able to say, hey, here's a US company who's putting together kits that are massive and give you 300 by 300 by 400 build volume. And what happened was I actually ended up, getting in touch with John Folger and actually creating a relationship with John Folger, and basically going through, hey, here's what I'm finding with this printer that I don't like. I'm changing it as I go, but I wanted you to know what changes I'm making. And sure enough, on this version 2 that he just released, like at least 75% of the changes on there are changes that I've done and a lot of the community have done. So it's good when a company listens to you, but you also have to be honest and keep the conversation open. Because I could have gone, oh yeah, it's a great unit, don't change it in any way, and then made a video on it and be like, this is the printer to buy, people. It's $500 and it's huge. But yeah, and I don't like being dishonest about that kind of stuff, because this is other people's money on the line here. So
that's the bottom line.
So yeah, if you say a printer's great and other people buy it and it's the biggest piece of junk out there, from that is people coming back to you, giving you all kinds of grief about it. And then you're going to get, when you get up to like Chuck and Joel's size and you're doing reviews like they are, I'm sure the comments are going to go both ways regardless of what you say about the printer.
Yeah. There has to be that above board. We talked about it a while back, and Joel, I think, shot a video on it about just the review process when it comes to YouTube and getting review units, and how we as creators have to approach that and be honest and forthcoming at the fact that this printer was sent to me versus I bought this printer, because that can change the narrative as the viewer sees it. Because is this a bias review because the printer's free? He got, a $2,000 printer for free, so of course he's going to praise the crap out of it, or is it legitimately good? So if you keep it level across the entire thing, and just if you find the things that could be improved with the free ones and the expensive ones, and the things that could be improved, and even highlight the good things about the ones that you bought, you just be honest with everything, and then people don't have an issue.
I mean, Chuck and Chuck. Sorry, Pooch.
Go ahead.
Chuck and Joel. I watch pretty much every one of their videos, the reviews and everything. And Uncle Jesse's the same way. Clayton. You guys all give exactly what I would expect being a consumer of your content. You all do very well at saying, here's the good things about this printer. Here's the bad things about this printer, and here's why this is a bad thing. Chuck, I think I've seen you do it already, where you've talked about, one of these printers that's got the exposed power supply and how you really don't like that. But, here is the solution to that. You can print these covers type of deal. You shouldn't have to, but you can. You guys always give a good explanation of, here's why I don't think it's bad. Not just, this printer's crap, don't buy it. Or it's got these problems. There's leave it out to be like there's no way to solve those problems. You guys don't do that. I think there may have been one or two videos where one of you guys may have said, you know what, this thing is not worth your money, period. And that pretty much was the end of the video, but you still said why.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
that's what makes an honest review.
Right.
I think
Sorry,
like
Pooch.
one of the best from like that I saw from Chuck. I think it was the Fabricator Mini, with the spool holder. Yeah, the 2 that had the spool holder in the absolute worst position possible on the thing. Yeah, you're just. I was just like, yeah, that's terrible engineering, and you got to call them out on that. I mean, you can't just go, well, you can make your own external spool holder and bypass this. It's just like, this should work.
Yeah. That one was tough because I bought my original Fabricator Mini. I still love that little printer. It's sitting back over here. I use it from time to time. It was my first open source printer, and everything I did on that was honest and reviews and everything. And a lot of people bought that based on that recommendation. That's when I realized that, whoa, people actually are spending their money based on what I'm saying. So that really grounded me, and I said, I really got to be honest, completely honest going forward. But early on, then they gave me a 1.5 when they upgraded, and then they said, we've got this new one coming out, which was the Fabricator Mini 2, and that was like a year in advance. And they showed me pictures of it, and I got to see certain things, and I told them, I said, you got to put an LCD display on this because what you're doing, it's not going to be great, in my opinion, or from what I know people have told me they want, at least in that community. And it took them a year until I finally got it, and we worked great together. They actually bought books from. They sell my Arduino book, so we had a business relationship in that, but still, when that thing came in and it didn't print great for me, the spool holder was off, the hot end was just hard to get to, and I knew you'd have to repair it because it's the same one that was on the Select Mini. I mean, just everything added up. I'm like, this isn't really an open source printer anymore because it was a 32-bit board. I said, you really can't even tear this apart and fix it. So I had so many people that were, I had got my Fabricator Mini I bought because of you, and now I'm looking at this Fabricator Mini 2. I had to be honest and say, no, I can't recommend this thing. And it was irritating, but, as far as I know, I haven't heard from them since. I probably burned a bridge, but I had to be honest on that thing. And it really did irritate me because for a year, they basically didn't listen to anything that anybody told them about it. So.
What I wanted to say was I really feel like that's what separates the really good reviewers from, the mediocre and in between, is that it's your ability to articulate what the issues are, but not necessarily flame, and do it in a productive manner that is beneficial. I think a lot of the time in this industry, we're at the bleeding edge of a lot of this stuff. And, a lot of other things when they're manufactured would go through a much longer, beta process or QC, but time to market is really important with a lot of this product. And so seeing how not only a reviewer responds, but then how the company responds is a sign of a good company as well, because some of these companies are very good at actually taking that feedback in a positive way and hopefully iterating on it. And it's really refreshing to see it when it works well. I want to see positive. I want to see a little bit of negative, but there's definitely some channels out there where I feel like their MO is more like the shock jock style, where they just want to trash stuff for the sensational entertainment value, which may play with some people. But in terms of what's going to, I think, resonate with the majority of this crowd, it's the even keel, it's the honest, and hopefully doing it in a way that's beneficial to everyone involved.
Yeah, clickbait titles really bug me.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't even think of one off the top of my head because I suck so bad at writing them. But it's like this really hyperbole of a clickbait title that you're just like, okay, what on earth is going on with this thing? You get in and like maybe it's a baseline review, or maybe it's just like you said, and they're just tearing it to pieces. Right. But I almost don't want to click on the ones with the clickbait titles. It's just like an aversion in the back of my head now. It's like, you want me to click that, but I'm not going to click that because no, you can't control my mind.
I don't want to touch that. Never mind.
One of the channels I like, because the way he does it, is Thomas, and I butcher his last name, Salander. Yes, because
Salamander.
Yeah, he takes a very engineering look at the work he's doing. So it's a good viewpoint to bring into the story of what the printers are like and pointing out the problems. He's coming at it from a very nice angle for that level. Although I find a number of the people I talk to, they're coming at it from a hobby or artistic level, and some of the stuff he's going through is above the heads. It's not what people are looking for. So one of the key things I stress to people is, well, look at here for technical, but always try to, find as many reviews as you can, and you'll find out through those what will work best for you.
Believe it or not, one of my models for my YouTube channel for the longest time was watch what Tom was doing and then fill in the holes. Like the whole Octoprint series was based off of Tom's Octoprint video. Like he had an Octoprint setup video. It was very quick, very good video if you know what you're doing with if you're familiar with computers and basic electronics. So most people, myself, I was able to get a Raspberry Pi up going with Octoprint using his video, and then I started thinking, now, could my stepdad do this, or could my brother do this if he wanted to do it? So then I started crafting the series, and yeah, it ended up being 20 to 30-minute videos, but I've gotten a lot of positive feedback saying I didn't even know, that this was in there. I didn't know that I had to do this. And so, yeah, Tom is like my gold standard. No offense to Joel or Chuck, but I've been watching Tom's videos forever. Back in the day when he was standing there in a hoodie and just kind of looking at a camera and just kind of doing his basic English. And
it's a different style though too, right? I mean, I agree. I love Tom's stuff too, but the way that Joel does inflection, the way that Chuck gets into detail. I mean, I appreciate the variety.
Yeah, but hey, Tom's stuff is still on point, and he really puts out very good quality videos and good quality content. I am always hopping on as soon as he releases a video, I'm like, I gotta watch it. And
I don't disagree. His
video production has gone through the roof. That man knows how to color correct like no one's business.
Yeah.
Hey guys, real quick, Glenn, do you want to go ahead with the 2-hour mark stuff?
Yeah, being that you're going to be the rude one and interrupt, I didn't want to interrupt the
I'll do the interruption just to keep it on track, and then we'll get back to the conversation.
He's doing his job. Leave him alone.
It's a great topic. I didn't want to break because this is a great conversation, and I love where it's going. But being that we are hitting that midnight witching hour here on the East Coast, the 2-hour mark, if we can just kind of do some quick outros, and then those who want to go can go, and those who want to stay can stay. And we have a great number of people watching us right now. So
31.
Chuck, I know that you showed up. You didn't get to do an intro, but if you want to do a quick outro and let everybody know who you are, being that you're the guy that's always just in Joel's shadow.
Chuck Hellebuck. I do Filament Friday every Friday on my channel, CHEP, which is Chuck Hellebuck's Electronic Products. CHEP 3D Printing and Electronics. So tune in and subscribe.
Yeah, and just to clarify, I do believe Chuck is taller than Joel, so technically Joel is in Chuck's shadow.
Couple of inches on him.
No, it was just that he kept saying, because everywhere we went at Maker Faire, everybody was like, Joel! Oh yeah, and there's Chuck too. So
also Joel is shrinking slowly.
Crap, I was the exact opposite at Murph. As soon as I saw Chuck, I geeked out. I was like, ah!
No, it was an advantage. It was actually an advantage. I went around with Joel, and they all, everyone jumped, hey, Joel. So then I could sneak off and go talk to the people in the booth, and uninterrupted. So it was really nice.
It's good strategy.
So that's it. That's all I got. Next.
Sorry. I'm juggling stuff. Joe Mike, you're next.
Oh crap. Joe Mike Tarantula.
Tarantula.
That was my nickname in high school, by the way. Thanks for bringing that one back.
That's low-hanging fruit there, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah, that's not a hard stretch. Joe Mike Terranella, YouTube channel, Joe Mike Terranella, Twitter, Mojike, Instagram, J Terranella. Right now I'm doing a filament series with my buddy Anthony Tackett. We're not going quite in as depth as Tom is with his Halloween series, but we're taking a lot of the main brands that we see being printed and dialing in settings to kind of get people in the ballpark to help them print these filaments to their best ability. And I also am doing Pi Zero Ws for the Mark III. I've got pre-orders going for that now, so if you don't want to mess with the soldering of the Pi Zero to get it to interact, dadgummit, quit dropping things, Joe, to interact with the new NC board, I have a pre-soldered solution, and you can even order it pre-loaded with Octoprint as well. So
very nice.
That's what I got going.
Very nice.
All right, so that takes us all the way to Iceland and Martin. And Matt, if you will, check your Twitter DM or your phone text. Martin?
Yeah, I'm Marteinn, and I have a channel called 3DP Iceland, or 3D Printing Iceland. And I've been printing a lot of landscape photos, models I create, and then I paint them and create YouTube videos on that. And recently I've also been testing out filaments from the Makerbox. I got a Makerbox subscription 2 months ago, and I've been testing out filaments and learning how to dial in filaments, and even was looking at G-code and finding out how to create a temperature tower without the Simplify 3D software. So that's what I've been up to lately. So that's me.
All right, fantastic. And now we go to how I do it, because we have a how I do it and then a you do it. So go ahead, Matt.
Everybody do it.
I'm Matt from the How I Do It channel. I call myself a generalist. I just like learning new things, new techniques, new ways of doing things, and figuring out how to do things myself rather than buying an off-the-shelf product. Now, I mean, granted, my 3D printers and stuff, I mean, they were off the shelf, but they were so I can make things that I can't buy off the shelf, or replicate things that I can buy off the shelf, but I'd rather tweak it, things like that. Life's been a little bit busy here the last 2 months. A lot's been going on. We had Maker Faire. I've got a lot of video left from Maker Faire that I need to go through. Pretty much the whole time I walked around with a GoPro on my shoulder, so I've got a lot of video to sift through. I do have an interview with Ono. Like I said at the beginning, them actually demoing on a working unit how to go through the entire setup process and start printing with it. And then 3 hours in, some progress on that print. I have that video mostly edited in Premiere. I need to go through and try to tweak the audio a little bit because my live setup wasn't the greatest for Maker Faire. I've got some other stuff coming up, some screen printing from a beginner's perspective. I'm just trying to learn how to do screen printing to do my own t-shirts. So I've got that coming up. But generally, I'm always doing something. My wife and I are running a little bit of a side business on Etsy now, she's doing a lot of crafts. I'm doing some 3D printed stuff, and we're going to start going to our first vendor show here in November. So if you guys want to see more on YouTube, it's youtube.com/howidoit. On Twitter, I'm @CountryCowboy. Instagram, I'm Matthew Flinchball. Facebook, Matthew Flinchball. Pretty much everywhere else, I'm Matthew Flinchball. If you search for me that way, you'll pretty much find me everywhere. If anybody, as far as the Friday night streams, if anybody is interested in being a streamer or staying up to date, you can follow the @F3DPCH Twitter account. I try to update that by Wednesday with who's going to be hosting for that coming Friday. The streams are every other Friday night. And if you guys want to get on the stream, message me through either my Twitter or the F3DPCH, and I'll get you hooked up with the links to be able to get on the stream. So I think that was long-winded enough. Who's next?
All right, that takes us over to Repkord.
That's me. That's me. I'm Pooch. I am also known as Repkord, and I have a brand of rep wrap stuff I sell on my Amazon store. I also have a channel on YouTube. Everything's at Repkord. And now I am dipping my toes in the water of education a little bit. I've been getting more involved with the Adopt-A-Bot, which has been a lot of fun, and I'm really excited. On the 25th of this month, I will be teaching my first intro to 3D design using Tinkercad, which will be interesting because I've never taught anything before. So I'm cheating, and I'm basically stealing Chuck's series on his YouTube channel as my lesson plan. But he told me to do so also. So I'm excited for that. We'll see how that goes. I'll report back on my own stream in 3 weeks when I do that.
Well, you know, it's not technically stealing anything because we all learned what we know from somewhere else. So,
I suppose so. I always say I'm built on the shoulder of giants. Everything I do, from my web development stuff all the way up to this, like, would not be possible were not for others. So I am truly humbled, more humbled than like Nick Angers even on a lot of this stuff. So that I could be part of the community, and it's awesome. So we're all learning from each other, getting new tips every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that brings us over to Zidim.
Chuck ran away.
So is my audio working?
Richard, you're muted.
I'm a professional. I understand how to do this. My name's Richard. I'll start all over again. The channel is Zidim on YouTube. I'm Zidim17 over on Facebook. If you go to zidim.com, you get to see a bunch of the stuff that I'm involved with. My focus is on model trains. My channel is about to do a bit of a change. And that is because I have the Moya printer in. So I'll be learning about SLA printing. And that'll be my focus for the foreseeable future, is learning how to deal with SLA printing. I'm not going to focus too much on the actual build of the machine, although I will live stream it because it's going to happen on my bench and there's cameras there. So, you know, might as well just hit the button and hit record. So I'll put that stuff out there. But once again, the main focus is on using this as a tool for the hobby of model trains. Did want to mention we do have the Facebook page, F3DPCH, so you can see what's going on there, and put your comments in there. Sometimes it's helpful to have some extra ideas for topics for a Friday night. So if you have something you want us to talk about, that's another place where you can put it. Oh, and I also wanted to mention that quite often we've had questions on here about what's happened with Nillabean. And he's come back. It turns out that he's opening up a store. So if you want to get the story about what he's up to, head over to his channel, and hopefully we'll see him back here. I know what it's like to start up a new business. So he's going to be rather busy for the next while. That and having a new kid. So they'll take him away from YouTube, but he hopes to be back on.
Yeah, Nillabean's new channel for his store is the Golden Goblin, I believe is what it is.
That's
so
correct.
Yeah, so it is good to know that he's alive. He did kind of fall off the face of the earth. So, and Richard, you brought up a good point. If there's anybody out there that that watches these hangouts and isn't necessarily interested in being on them, but there's a topic that you would like us to discuss, absolutely hit us up on the on either the Twitter or the Facebook, and throw that information out there, and we'll see if we can't work it in, because sometimes it's hard for us to come up with topics as well. And I digress. You do it.
All right, it'll be quick. Just saying good night, everyone. Just check out my channel. I did this studio lighting on my son's YouTube studio, his music studio. So that's right on the main channel. So thanks, everyone.
And just to follow up with, everybody's done their speech,
Not me.
right? Oh yeah, Fun King. Go ahead. Well, okay, let me start off for you guys. How about that?
Let's just not even worry about the guy that's hosting the whole thing.
Hey, let me do the intro for you for a second. For everybody who is watching, make sure that you do go down, you hit the like button. Xander, what's that other button on that?
What?
Oh, you ain't got to get it.
Xander's on his
The
phone.
end of your Xander Things Thursday.
Let me check. The like button?
Yeah, hit the like button. Who hits what?
What? I do not understand.
Okay. So Xander doesn't know his own outro, but everybody who's watching, make sure you do hit the like button. It helps out Fun King 3D. And as Xander's Thing Thursday says, the people who hit the down button are losers.
Yeah.
That's right. Says,
and there's one guy.
Says, click here, losers click here.
And there's one guy.
So I can't take credit for that. I found that on the web. I can't take credit for that little outro. I did add the please to the subscribe because it felt more polite that way. But
there is one guy every week.
I laugh every time I see that part.
Yeah, somebody thumbs down. Gives him a thumbs down. Now there was like 2 weeks that they didn't, but somebody's giving it, and I don't care, whatever. But it's just funny that they would give a 10-year-old a thumbs down. And then the other one that made me chuckle was our announcement of the winners of the AIO Robotics filament giveaway. Somebody gave that video a thumbs down, and the only thing I can imagine is it's because they didn't win. So, but you know, I'm Glenn and he's Xander, and we're Fun King 3D, and we're Fun King 3D everywhere, and we're working on. We've got a couple videos coming out this week. One we've been working on for a long time. It actually sparked out of one of these Friday night feeds where we were talking about putting PLA outside. It was the Summer Prints episode, and we did run some tests with putting some PLA outside. So those results will be out this week. What else are we working on? Oh, I have a filament review coming out. My Polymaker review for Polylite PLA is finally ready to come out. And of course, you know, he's got his Xander Things Thursdays. Things Thursdays. Yeah. So, and we got a couple other ideas for videos that we think are going to be fun. And like I said, my little subscriber counter here. I still got to do a little tweaking on the code. It's got a couple of issues, but it's fun. I love it, and I discovered a new programmable microcomputer that I really enjoy. So that's fun out of all that as well.
What computer?
It's
You got Chuck's attention real quick with that.
Ooh.
ESP
8266.
There you go. Yeah, with the Wi-Fi built in.
That's really
cool.
So
I actually I built another one that looks just like this, and I would hold it up and show you, but it looks just like this. But what I did was it runs a web server on it, and it connects to the Wi-Fi. And while I was away in New York, I could access it and type messages into it, and it would scroll across. So I sent my wife little love messages the whole time I was gone. So just randomly throughout the day, I would change, and it drove her crazy because she couldn't reply to it. So she would have to go and send me a text, to whatever I put on there. So that was pretty cool. So, but this is it's a fun little tip, and they're cheap. I ordered them through AliExpress for $4 a piece. I think
2 cents.
I mean, they were pretty cheap. So, but it started because I want to build a much larger version of this for my Christmas light display to scroll messages, like if we get rained out or whatever. I do a huge Christmas light display every year, but and also scroll like our radio station, what they need to tune into. So I want to do it on a bigger matrix, but yeah. So that video will be coming up pretty soon too.
Well, if you've got some of these cheaper 3D printers that say they got Wi-Fi capability or they connect Wi-Fi, a lot of times an ESP 8266 inside. That's really all it is.
Awesome. Yeah, I had never played with one. How long have they been around?
About 5 years.
Wow.
5 years. I mean, they've been around really cheap the last 2-3 years, but I think they've been around 4 or 5 years. I think.
Yeah, it's been fun. It didn't come with any instructions. I had to kind of limp through figuring out a program with this particular one. You got to hold the flash button to get it to take the program, but I program it right with the Arduino IDE, and it's pretty awesome. So
yeah, there's newer ones out now that have more features and stuff, but that's the old one, the 8266. That's, you can do a lot with that.
I like it. I like it a lot. So, but I guess that's it for me. Now we can go back to our regularly scheduled chat. I'm not sure what Joe Mike's doing over there, but he looks like he is having a great time.
Sorry, my wife just got home from a night of drinking. Get upstairs.
Don't tell me my business, devil woman.
What y'all don't know is really his wife's not standing there anymore. That's not what he was saying.
No, she's really right here. Come here,
I'll be
Kendra.
up in a minute.
Come here. Come on. Don't mind all the cords. There's tons of them. Don't hit that one. That one's a bad one to hit. This is my lovely
I don't
wife.
know where to look.
Okay, well, you see. This is Kendra.
Hi, Kendra.
I can't hear what you're saying because he has an earbud in, but hello.
They're saying hi.
You gotta take one out and stick it in her ear.
I see that there aren't a lot of
I
women.
can't because they're custom molded to my ears.
I'll just cram it in there.
Just cram it in there. That's what she said.
She did not, actually. And there's a child. I'm going.
And there's a child.
Good to see you guys.
And this is the
there's a whole bunch of children here.
Love you. Am I turning red, or is that just the camera settings going?
Yeah.
She's a good sport, Joe Mike.
She's a keeper.
Yeah, sounds like it.
She literally, like, she walked in and she's like, "Are you muted?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm muted." And she's like, "You should just act like you're really pissed off right now and just start throwing things." I was like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." She's like, "Do it." And I was like, "Okay, fine."
Yeah, I didn't know if you were like swatting at mosquitoes or what you were doing, but you're all like.
That's what he looks like when he's agitated. I would love to see a fight in your house, Joe Mike.
Please.
Fights in my house are very quiet, actually.
But a lot of arm waving?
Well, I'm Italian, so I mean that's just part of the package. That's why I keep my hands underneath the table or doing something like playing with playing cards, because if I don't, I talk with my hands.
Yeah.
Capiche?
Guilty.
I didn't start talking with my hands until I started a YouTube channel and needed to make sure there was motion going on the camera all the time. And now my mom's constantly commenting on it. She's like, "Do you always talk with your hands?" And I'm like, "No, only now that I'm a YouTuber."
I've had a few comments of "Love the channel. Stop moving your hands."
Hey, a little gesticulation here and there. It's good for the blood flow and everything, you know.
It shows I'm alive.
This is the only exercise I get.
That's basically it. This is my Make the Maker workout for today.
Carmelo doubts the fact that I play with playing cards under the table. Which I'm going to just
table is your business, my friend.
I'm just going to put this to rest right now and just, you know, this is what I keep by my side pretty much all the time. I shuffle them and I just do all kinds of. I've actually been learning a lot of Magic lately, so I keep nice and interesting decks around, and I work on my cardistry while I idle hands. So
you gonna show that off for us someday?
I don't know how it would like translate, because usually most of them require another person. I mean, I could do it to. Well, I'm not phrasing that. I was about to say I can do it to my wife.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I think Nilla's into Magic, so you have to connect with Nilla.
Oh yeah, it's really a stress reliever. It really is. Like you learn the mechanics of it all, and then you're like, that's all there is to that. And then you're like, this is awesome. And then you make other people just like crap themselves. Like one of my favorite things to do right now is like there's a lady who sits right outside of my office who's our office manager, and she's like into the supernatural and all that stuff. And I've been doing a lot of mentalism with her. And she literally went to the ER one day after I did a trick because her heart would not stop beating so fast. I felt so bad. Did not stop me from doing it again. But
well, if people are crapping themselves, maybe stop performing at the retirement community. You know, like that'd probably be a good start.
I did a magic trick for my grandfather, and he just after I got done, he just was like, "Huh." Like that's the reaction I'm going for. Thanks.
No, that's impressed to an Italian.
No, well, this is not the Italian grandfather.
Oh, okay. Well,
this is the rocket scientist grandfather, the one who's like, you know, probably figured that out 4 moves in, but yeah, not easy to impress that dude.
We were out for dinner at, you know, it was Mother's Day, so the restaurant's full, and they actually had a guy there going around the tables making balloon animals and everything. But my son started playing with a spoon and some magic tricks. He learned how to use that. And after a while, the balloon maker went away from our entire section because everybody was watching my son and totally ignoring him. And he had the spoon spinning around and that. So yeah, the magic tricks, they can have a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's a good way to connect with people. Because, I mean, I'm you probably don't believe this, but I'm actually an introvert. Is that right? Introspective?
Yeah.
Introvert.
Yep.
I don't have a really easy time conversing with people in person. Like in formats like this, you know, I've been told that I am a personality, that I'm outgoing and boyish. Well, I'm the only person in this frickin' room, so yeah, I can do whatever I want. But as soon as I'm around a crowd, I'm like, I'm just gonna stand over and people watch. And you know, this magic has helped me get out of that shell a little bit, because now I'm like, hey, check this out. Is this your card?
I'm exactly the same way. I'm very introverted. I'm very socially awkward. When I'm with people, I have to really fight my way through it to be normal. So
you had me fooled, man.
Yeah, but see, I've been in the service industry my whole professional career. I was always a computer guy, so I was always having to go and be with. I can't stand talking on the phone. I mean, I you know, if somebody calls me, I'll send it to voicemail and send them a text. I hate talking on the phone. So, but to be in front of the camera, I mean, you guys aren't really here. You're just this image on my screen. I'm talking to a video game. But you know, I mean, it helped a lot that I knew most of you before I met you. But no,
is that why you walked around Maker Faire like this? So we were all in a little window.
Like this, yeah.
Living life through the screen.
While we're chit-chatting and stuff, does anybody in the chat have any questions about the topics tonight, Maker Faire, or our setups and stuff for YouTube, for streaming, for anybody? I'm not sure if really any of us in here actually do Twitch or not, but if anybody has any questions in the chat, I'm trying to pay attention to the chat right now.
Yeah, I forgot during my outro to say too that we'll be at the Orlando Maker Faire. So I don't necessarily think. I mean, I know there's a couple people in the state of Florida, but I don't know if they're necessarily in the chat. But if anybody's in Florida, we will be at the Orlando Maker Faire this month.
Yeah, and just to plug the things that are going on, just as of recently, I think this week, the dates for Murph were posted. So if you're going to Murph, I think almost everybody on the stream tonight said they're going to be there. I just saw today 3D Printed Aspie said he's going to be there.
Maker Noob's going to be there. Joe's going to be there.
Yeah, Noob.
Joe going to be there again. So Joe's going to be there.
Sounded like Kat was talking about going back.
Yeah, she was coming back, talking about coming back over.
Back to the States.
So yeah, you've got coming up in, I think, like the March time frame. Is that right? March or February?
Then you got Banff after that.
Maker Faire. And Nick's in the chat if anybody's got questions about it. Earth is coming up. I think June is the to be determined date, but they're shooting for a June time period.
So
first annual East Coast Rep Festival. That thing right there. There you go.
Backwards.
So Earth 2018. That I will be at for sure. That is about 20 minutes. If I drive fast, 15 minutes from my house.
So I think, did I miss that? Where is it?
They're shooting for Bel Air, Maryland.
Yeah.
Is the tentative. I'm not sure if they booked it yet or not, but they're shooting for a fairgrounds or something in Bel Air, Maryland.
And we don't have dates yet.
Summer. They're just saying summer of.
Yeah, they're shooting for June or July, which is
month of June is what they were shooting for, I think.
All my ad revenue is going to go to travel costs this next upcoming year.
Well worth it though, man. That's where all the magic happens.
I need to find some sponsors.
They are going to be doing a 3D printed pine wood derby. I think it's going to conform to the BSA, Boy Scouts of America, rules for the pine wood derby, and you have to use the wheels for the pine wood derby. And I'm trying to convince.
You have to use purchased wheels. You have to buy the Boy Scout wheels, and the rest.
I'm trying to convince them to do a fully 3D printed class as well, maybe like a Sunday race or something, where
that'd be a cool idea.
Axle, wheels, everything is 3D printed.
Boy, the axles, that's where the rubber meets the road, really. I mean, I don't know.
What would be kind of neat
is competition.
Do a sled, like instead of doing the Pinewood Derby, do the Pinewood Derby and then do like a sled with the CO2 cartridges, and then a 3D printed sled on grass, if there's grass nearby. Like it would kind of be like a power boat. Or if there's a lake, we could do boats.
Yeah. The possibilities are endless.
Don't do it out of nylon or it'll sink instantly because nylon absorbs moisture.
Try the lake. Put them in there.
Upcoming 3D printing events. That's some of the bigger ones. ERF and MRF are 100% 3D printed related. 3D printing related, sorry. The neat thing, you get all of us together and it's all about 3D printing.
I'm still waiting for a WRF and a SURF.
I've seen mentions now of NERF, SURF, WRF, MRF, ERF. Who knows? What are you going to call yours, Richard? Perf.
We're going to have GERF. It's at Glenn's house.
Yeah, Richard, get on Kerf. Make that happen.
Yeah. Well, Calgary has one. I don't know what they're calling that one.
I like Smurf.
It's happening right now. I need something to come close, like Idaho. I could probably make it down to Idaho, but I'm not even heading to the Calgary one next weekend.
How about like a Canadian, like a turf, like in Toronto?
Yeah.
I said Kerf, Canadian Rep Festival.
We could do one in Vegas and call it VERF.
VERF.
I'm just seeing what they call the Calgary Maker Faire. It's just MFC.
Maker Faire Calgary, yeah.
Yeah.
Focals, I am going to hop off here and go to bed because I'm tired and I get really weird after I'm tired. And
weirder?
Good. We kind of want to see. You can't tease us like that. How weird can it get here, Joe Mike?
You've seen it. It's happened. Bathtubs are involved.
He's going to start doing magic.
I don't think it even takes tired to get him weird. He gets in the bathtub pretty early.
Let's get weird.
Yeah, actually, a bath does sound kind of nice. Wonder
okay,
laptop. I've got like a
bath. Light some candles
and bath salts.
Yeah, it's a bath. Well, don't get too crazy with the bath salts now.
Well, I bathe in them. I don't snort them.
Okay, good to know.
Speaking of Orlando, okay, I'll see y'all later. Have a good one, guys.
Hey, Joe Mike.
Joe Mike.
How do I close this thing?
I'm gonna have to head out too, guys.
All right. Thanks for joining, Chuck.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, buddy.
Bye.
All right.
You're welcome back anytime. If you want to host, let me know. Hosting is always first come, first serve most of the time, unless we had something scheduled at. Well, I guess it's still first come. So yeah, Chuck, if you want to host or anybody else, you guys want to host, first one to get a hold of me on the F3D PCH account or my Twitter account is typically the one who hosts. So,
okay.
And you get the host topic choice.
And yes, Chuck, I'm going to go and fire up my iPad and see what I can do with it.
Yeah. You see everybody with their iPads now.
Yeah.
No, that will never happen. I'm not an Apple guy.
Nope.
I actually thought about doing a video of that showing how I film. A few of my patrons fast, so I may do that in the future.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. That would be pretty cool because I think you'd impress a lot of people with that setup.
Yeah,
I'd like to give Chuck a shout out because Chuck is now my #2 patron. So thanks for supporting me, brother.
Hey.
Keep doing what you're doing, man. All right, guys. Good night.
Yeah.
Hi, Chuck.
See ya.
Right.
Yeah, Chuck. All right. All right. I haven't seen any questions in the chat as far as equipment, software.
I got a topic I wanted to bring up because I've been really amazed by this. I just joined up with my local Makerspace that, well, as local as I could get. It's about 25 miles from me, but you know, I was like I've been this close to like buying, you know, getting a Prusa, and I was waiting for the Mark III and all this stuff, and then I discovered this Makerspace, and it's like maker heaven there, man. They've got two Form 2, they've got a Form 2, Form 1 SLA, they've got a Mark IIs, they've got an Ultimaker 2, they've got like all this stuff. Printerbot just donated one of their big E's, which we're like actually getting function with. That thing's got like a 5-foot Z-axis on it. I'll be curious to see if we get that thing operational, you know, how it runs. But I was curious to know if like any of you guys have checked out any of the like, if you have something like a Hacker Lab or a Makerspace or anything near where you are, and if you've checked it out.
We have over in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Make 717 started I think it's 3 years ago now, and I helped fund them to get started on GoFundMe or however it was they raised. Might have been Indiegogo. I was over for their grand opening when they did that. All the backers got to be invited to it, and they have the local Makerspace over there at the time. I think things have changed a little bit, but they had an Ultimaker, printers. I want to say they had a Robo 3D, and then they had a lot of more kit printers over there. Printed Solid helped with them getting set up and running, and Matt was actually pretty involved with them getting up and going as far as their 3D printing stuff goes. And when they first opened up, they had a mini lathe X-Carve at the time. I think they've gotten that, and since then also got a laser cutter as well. Something more along the lines of like a Glowforge or something, but slightly bigger. I forget exactly which one they got.
That's cool. But that's still far. It's too far for it to be practical for you, I'm assuming. To join them.
I mean, the equipment that they have versus the membership fees it's not as enticing to me because I've got access to most of that stuff already.
Yeah.
Especially now that I've got 4 3D printers sitting over here. When I only had one, it was tempting.
Yeah.
But really the only thing that at the moment they've got that's really kind of got my interest is the laser cutter. But at the same time, 2 weeks ago now, I was working at a customer's location and found out a friend of mine works there and that they are starting a Makerspace. It's a retirement home. The library, Mannheim Library, is going to be building a library right across the street from the retirement home. The retirement home and the library are going together and making a Makerspace in it. Here, my friend's boss is the one who's basically at the top of the board in charge of it. I got to talking to them and got an offer to come over and help get set up and help teach classes, help run, maybe even teach my own classes, own stuff too. So that may open up some possibilities there. And then I'm trying to push my local library because they're building a new library, not even 2 minutes down the road from me.
Hey, that's
so I'm
cool.
trying to push them. They keep saying they want to go modern. And I've been contacting the president of the library system saying, look, if you want to go modern, a Makerspace is a must. I mean,
yeah.
I just a quick tangent on that. So like my work, I do HVAC work, right? And the company is a mechanical company. And me and one of the guys joke because, mechanical doesn't mean HVAC. Mechanical means if it moves or has parts, essentially, we work on it. And that holds true to what we do. And I've been trying to make this push for makerspaces, local makerspaces or a local maker community to get together in York, Pennsylvania. Because, my work's got this hard time trying to hire guys. They can't hire guys out of high school because most of these kids coming out of high school, don't have the background like I did where I was tinkering with stuff, where I continue to tinker with stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what helps me to excel at my job. My work can, they've said time and time again, they can throw me at anything.
Yeah.
Stuff that I've never seen, they've never seen. And yet I figure something out.
You're a problem solver. I mean, that's really what it comes down to with most jobs. If you're a good problem solver, you can.
I think makerspaces give kids, teenagers, the tools to become tinkerers. It gives them the way to do it, because nowadays, I mean, everything's on your smartphone. It's video games, this, it's doing that. It's not as much, playing in the workshop, which is what I grew up doing, tearing stuff apart. And I think Makerspaces kind of gives that ability to people.
It's kind of interesting that the libraries are getting into it. Like, that's not like a connection I would have thought to have made, but you do see, at least in the 3D printing and stuff. But I mean, I know the library I'm teaching at, they're getting a Carvey, and I'm like, dude, like, it's
this one in Mannheim. I mean, they're looking at starting small, but their end goal is a full-blown makerspace. I mean, they want to do woodworking, metalworking, they want to do art, they want to do crafts, they want to do 3D printing. They want to get big with it. I mean, they have an entire building that they're going to dedicate to this in the long run. So, yeah, I mean, sorry, go ahead, Pooch.
Yeah. I was just going to say, does anybody else have one near them that they've been to or seen or investigated it?
Well, I'm in the process of trying to get one going in this community. And one of the players that wants to join in is the library. But the other one is our employment services, just for that, to give kids out of high school or people who've been unemployed for a while a chance to start learning something. If they want to take it on as a trade, they get a basis, and then they can go to the college to move on with that, increase the skills, but give them the opportunity to get hands-on with something. And the one concept that people really like is what Seattle calls the forgotten R. And that is, they're trying to reduce, they want to take their waste going to the dump down to zero. That's their long-term goal. And so we have, reduce, reuse, I'm forgetting my R's now. Reduce, reuse, what is it? Recycle, but the forgotten R is repair. People have forgotten how to fix things. And a lot of things are designed that you don't fix it. You just throw it out and get another one. It's cheaper, it's easier. Yeah. So it's in order to cut down that waste. Seattle, their study on it, I think it was from 2015 numbers. It might have been 2016, may have been lately enough for that. 80% of the stuff that went into their maker fairs, they have a repair fair. It's not a maker fair, that they've taken throughout the community. So people can bring in things to get repaired, and they have volunteers manning it. 80% of the stuff was repairable. And that 20% was stuff that either was too far gone or it was proprietary parts that they couldn't replace.
Right.
But, and that falls right into a makerspace, because all the tools you use for a makerspace are also the tools to repair. And the concept comes from a lady in England, and she had been in Africa for 3 years. And when she got back to England, she realized how much of a throwaway society we are. Because where she was in Africa, you didn't throw anything away. It all got repurposed or repaired. So that, we want to get that in there. I was so close. One organization approved some funding, and we got that approval. We sent in the final paperwork, and they said, oh, it's approved, but we don't have any funding available until spring of 2018. Oh, you never mentioned that. Back to square one.
Yeah, I also found out there's a Fab Lab in my neighborhood. Actually, my son came home from his after-school project one day with a 3D print, and that was the first time I saw a 3D print. And we went there a couple of times while I was waiting for my Prusa printer. And I think in the third time I had watched so many YouTube videos, I was starting to help out people at the Fab Lab because I was reading about the printer they had, and on how to do different things. So, but after I got the printer, I haven't been there since. So.
Well, Glenn, what about you guys? Have you explored any of that in your area?
Yeah, I actually I talked to our local library, which, I mean, they built a new library not long ago, so I thought, great, but I couldn't get a lot of cooperation out of them. Again, my town is engulfed by a retirement community that started like they started building neighborhoods, and it now spans 3 counties. It is just a huge retirement area. And they have like specialty clubs for everything. I don't necessarily know if they have a 3D printing club because I'm not old enough to even
there's a club for everything.
Inquire about it. But I mean, they do. They have kite clubs and stamp clubs and coin clubs. I mean, they have clubs for everything.
And desk clubs.
Generally, those clubs they're only open to the residents of the community. I won't say that they shun outsiders, but they don't really need the outsiders. If they already have a club, they know what they're doing. Picking up what I'm putting down. Yeah. So that kind of ended that. I have considered considered bringing 3D printing into the Scouts, because Xander is actually both boys are Scouts, but I've considered bringing it there too, but I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing as well. So I guess not really all that for no.
I don't know if I just found something really special, but like the one that is near me is called Hacker Lab, and it's actually a co-op between the local junior college and kind of a private entity. So they get funding kind of from the college as well. And it's got a full like textiles lab, a full wood shop, like welding, like the electronics lab is like incredibly impressive, like tons of soldering stations, oscilloscopes, like pretty much anything you would need to make just about anything. And I was like surprised that this had been going on. I don't know. They opened up this location only maybe 6 months ago. There was another location in downtown Sacramento, but it's one of the more impressive ones I've seen, and they seem to be decently funded and getting new stuff every day. So there might be some good opportunity for me to stream from there too, to show off kind of what a good makerspace can be, and maybe help inspire, because it is a really cool community. Like today, a couple guys just showed up after they were doing a project with like some instruments, and then they just had like a jam session like in the makerspace, and there's like a coffee bar in there too. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. You can rent the boardroom. It's also a co-working space, so I'll work there a lot of times just for getting out of the house and just interacting with other people, which is really important for me because I am an extrovert, so I got to be around other people.
Yeah, I actually I kicked around for a little while the idea of opening a makerspace. Even before I was into 3D printing, I thought about opening a makerspace here, just to give people access to, like woodworking stuff and whatever. And I couldn't get enough interest, I guess, to justify going after the financing to do it. Because again, with the retirees, they have a wood shop. I mean, they have a huge wood shop, and I mean, there's so much money here. The residents here are I won't say that they're all filthy rich, but they're very, very well to do. So when somebody decides like, oh, we need a wood shop, they just go buy a building and fill it up with the best tools ever. But it's only for them.
Yeah.
It's not for the general public. So, and that's where the hard part. But there's just, I mean, it's really a small town that I live in. It's just surrounded by this huge retirement community. So
never let the machines win. On chat was asking like, how does injury insurance work for makerspaces? I have no idea. I can't imagine it's an easy endeavor getting financing together and all of that. I would be nervous around something like that, but I think were it not for the school where I'm at kind of helping the process along, that might not have been the case. I'd be curious to know though.
In Canada, our rules are a little bit different, but working with the employment society, they have a legal department, and they looked at it and what we wanted to do, and they said, "Oh, straightforward, and here's the form." So the material's already there. It's like you contact another makerspace. What do you do for insurance? And they'll have what you need. But of course, it's different province to province and state to state. So make sure it covers what you have.
Exactly how it is here in the U.S. Different from state to state. They all have some kind of insurance, and you also sign some kind of agreements and waivers and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, but even with the waivers, I mean, you'd have to be covered. It's such a so crazy country.
Very litigious here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's getting like
a lot of the cases. Just the way they work is not that this avoids the insurance. I mean, no matter what, you've got to have the insurance. But a lot of them will do courses on the equipment where you actually take a class, a prep class, before you actually are allowed to use the piece of equipment. On the piece of equipment, there's different levels. Like you have supervised use of the equipment and things like that. And then you can kind of like graduate as you take these different classes and you prove not comfort, but knowledge of the tool. Then you can graduate. I know that's how Make 717 operates. They hold classes for each piece of equipment. In order to even use that, you have to take the basic class. Like to use the lathe, that's one of the tools where you have supervised privilege up until you've reached a certain educational level and prove to the instructor that you're at a certain point. But again, they've got to have some kind of insurance.
One of our regulars was dealing with a makerspace. He's I don't know what his title is now, but he's in the higher levels of the space. But anyways, he was talking about they've gone to a card system. So in order to operate the equipment, you have to put your card in, and your card tells you what you can actually do.
That's cool. I mean, I almost could see like I bet that plays really well with nerds too, because you feel like you level up. You know, you like get the next level, and the next level.
Yeah. Every time you get a new skill, like a big sound plays and lights flash.
Achievement unlocked. Yeah.
You walk in the door and there's a Raspberry Pi camera that has XP over your head, does facial recognition.
Right.
You know what? It would not surprise me if there's a Makerspace or a Hackerspace or something somewhere out there that has done something like that.
The little badge. That'd be a cool little IoT project, right? Little badge with your XP. I like that. I'll bet you. We gotta get the word out. That somebody would do that for sure.
If it doesn't exist, it's going to after the stream. You know that we're all popular enough that it's gonna exist.
I'm gonna bring it up. I know at least 3 guys that would be all about that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, no, it's the same process at our place too. You got to get certified on all this stuff. It's somewhat willy-nilly depending on who you know and who's like, teaching the classes for certain stuff. But they do a pretty good job of offering stuff, and I'm excited because they offer some good classes on like Fusion 360 and some other stuff too that even I could benefit from as well. So I can definitely get online and try to learn that way too. But when I kind of force myself to go to a class and interact with others on it, like that's a better learning experience for me and for a lot of other people too. So it's awesome that there's a place like that where you can get these things. And I don't think they do a good enough job getting the word out, because I think their attendance could be way higher. Like the print lab that they're building right now it's completely unused. Like I can walk in and pretty much like run prints on all of these things all day long, and it's pretty awesome. I'm like, well, why would I even bother, buying my own if I can just come down here? I mean, it's $100 a month, but I get a lot of value out of this place. So, to me, it's not cheap, but it's not, if you use it, it's worth it. And like they got gigabit internet, and I'll work out of there and stuff too. Just for the co-working space, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, well,
$100 a month. Chat here mentioned another thing, and that is it's not just the insurance, but if you have under 18s, then you get the police checks and all that stuff you have to get into.
Glenn, you were saying $100 in California?
Yeah, I said $100 a month. In California isn't really. I mean, rent out there is not cheap.
No, it's not. You find $100 bills just laying in the street around here. It's just really not that much. No.
No, just, I mean, cost of living is high. So, I mean, $100 for something like that. I mean, Fat Cat Fab Lab, they said they were $110 a month. And at first it kind of choked me, but that's paying rent in New York.
That's New York City. And well, so I get a little key fob. It's open 24/7. I can't say I've seen anybody sleeping there, but it wouldn't surprise me if somebody like did just camp out there.
That's cheap rent, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for what you get, if you're utilizing it, like just for the internet alone, I mean, I think I pay like $70 for like not great internet if I just go there and work. And it's free coffee. So hey, there's that. It's not free. I guess it's part of it.
So all your videos are going to be now live streamed from there instead of at home.
Yeah, totally. Well, they got some cool stuff, man. So I may well have to do that. We'll see. And they've got gigabit like symmetric fiber, so it's like I could stream some serious stuff from there.
Take your iPad down there.
Yeah, I'm gonna take in honor of Chuck.
You don't have gigabit fiber to your home like I have here in Iceland?
No, sadly, not where I am.
Still a big luxury so far here. Like, it's only in select areas for gigabit internet. Most of the country doesn't have gigabit internet yet.
I'm lucky to have a cable modem. I live out on 5 acres and I've got animals running around my house, so I'm a bit out in the sticks compared to most.
I was quite surprised when I moved here. About 6 months after I moved, they started wiring the entire area with the fiber optics. So yeah, I'm on a 150 plan, and man, is that nice.
The United States has a lot of what they call dark fiber, which is the fiber optic cables were laid, but they were never lit up yet.
Yeah.
And like that's what Google was doing when they were doing the Google Fiber. They were buying up the dark fiber. They've been buying for years all the dark fiber. And they started to light it up in different areas to sort of give like the Comcast and the Spectrum and all the other internet providers sort of the kick in the ass to say, you know what, look, here it is. We're giving what was charging for gigabit cheap. It is dirt cheap. Now, the installation to get it from the street to your house was slightly expensive, but once you had it, it was dirt cheap for the service. But unfortunately, the U.S. has a lot of dark fiber that just hasn't been utilized yet.
Yeah. I think it just depends on where you are. Like, it seems like they're doing so. It's interesting because some places I think suffer from having too much infrastructure, and there's a lot of companies that don't want to compete. Like, once there's a broadband provider in the area, there's so many other places where, you know, you can go be the only show in town that, you know, they'll just go focus on that. And we'll see. I mean, it's funny because less developed parts of the world like have better internet than we do because like they come in with better technology and nothing really prohibiting them from installing it. So,
well, and you know, like you said, some of the countries have the poor countries have better internet than we do.
Yeah,
they look at it as, you know, if you have decent internet nowadays, you can very well quickly become a hub for a technology center.
Yeah.
Impoverished countries, it's a big deal. Yeah, infrastructure to build around them. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you would think that the United States, UK, that we'd all be, and Canada, that we'd all be leading in internet speeds, and we're not. We're so far behind. Like the US, our internet infrastructure and the way the companies are structured, honestly, the best summary of it is it's bullshit.
Aren't you very, very often tied to the cable TV companies with the internet? So that's your only option in areas?
Pretty much. I mean, you have the options of, in most areas of the United States, you have the cable company, you have the cellular companies now, and you have the phone company, which is typically one cable company, one phone company for the landline stuff, and then you typically have a selection of anywhere between 2 and 4 big name cell phone carriers, which the cell phone or mobile data plans are just so totally outrageous, even compared to what we're paying for cable, internet, and DSL and stuff like that.
Well, you forget satellite internet, you know.
Oh, don't even talk about satellite internet, Gil.
Pay an arm and a leg for incredibly slow connection.
I have family upstate that is their only option. They do not have cable. They do not have landlines. So their only option is satellite.
Makes me feel dirty
Family,
just
but
talking
my wife.
about it. I don't like it. It's terrible.
Yeah. It's insane. I mean, satellite internet is like the dead last option because it's insanely expensive, and I don't care what they say, it's never anywhere near as fast as DSL cable.
It's the latency is biggest, issue too. Like you can talk download speeds and all this stuff, but the amount of time it takes to communicate, in between transmits and stuff is really where it feels like it lags. But anyway,
I mean, it's the coolest. It's probably the coolest out of all the technologies. But yeah,
well,
like the fact that you're actually moving your signal to space.
We have microwave actually out here. It's kind of common. They'll put big microwave repeaters on some of the hills, in certain areas that will get decent speed, but you have to have line of sight to it. And so you'll have a big array up on the top of your house, and it's definitely more expensive and stuff too, but it may be the only show in town for you. So they just do a series of like repeaters from the hilltops and stuff like that. And for some people, that's the only choice.
One community
local host said in the chat has a good point.
One community here in Northern BC lost their internet because the company pulled out, and it was actually considered to be an emergency. So the province rushed in internet, so the community would have internet.
That's interesting. It's a right now, not a privilege for internet. Like basically, it's an emergency.
It goes along. You get water, sewage, garbage pickup, fire department, internet.
I think I'd rather have internet.
I would consider internet a necessary utility at this point.
Yeah.
Live without having internet.
I think they passed.
To me, it's like necessity.
They passed legislation here in Iceland that I think in 2018, every home in Iceland, even the farms far away, they have to have at least 100 megs of fiber to their home.
At least 100 meg. Wow.
Yeah. So that's a minimum.
What's the population of Iceland, though? I mean, too, like the amount of geography that you're. Although that's pretty rough terrain in a lot of your areas.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, but their whole internet in Iceland runs just through one 8-port hub. That's it.
We are only 5 people, so it's not a problem. No, we are like 340,000. But Iceland is rather large by footprint, so it's long distance compared to the number of people. So so it's only the capital area and few towns that are really populated, but a lot of farmland and
even those farmlands have to have broadband, is what you're saying?
No, fiber.
Like, well, fiber optic, so very high speed.
Yeah. Wow. So they are getting fiber to everybody. So.
Interesting.
That's fantastic. All right.
Local host in the chat did say too, here in the U.S., I mean, there's plenty of places that get internet. Their 2 options are by satellite, which again is expensive and slow, or by dial-up. I mean, we do still have places in the U.S. that their only option is one of those 2.
Yeah. Wow. Most of Australia is still on ADSL at best. That's terrible. Huh.
Yeah, their internet, I think, is pretty salty, too. That's why you don't see a lot of them live streaming all that frequently.
Yeah,
expensive.
I think Angus said that was one of the factors in choosing the location for his new apartment. What's the internet?
Well, I know when I was house shopping out here, that was one of the criteria, and that's not something that's commonly listed in real estate around here too. So it's like I had to go knocking on neighbors' doors to be like, "Do you guys have internet out here? Because I can't work if I don't have it."
Actually, I was talking to one of our politicians, provincial politicians, and explained to him how important it was. I said, I didn't care about the download speed. I don't care about how many movies you can watch. But being able to upload
Yeah.
brings so much power to the community,
Yeah.
and how important that was and how much more he can do with that. And they never looked at it as being an economic stimulus for a community to have broadband.
Yeah,
It's because providers do not want to pay for upstream bandwidth. They only want to pay for the downstream. So that's why you get downstream and you only get a little tiny bit of upstream, so that bandwidth is open for other things. It all comes down to greed.
Yeah, but I think
that's
that's
where fiber comes, because fiber is, most cases, fiber is
symmetric.
Symmetric. That's it. That's the word I was looking for. Thanks, Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Glenn, I would say that it is shifting. You know, it used to be too that people just didn't need uplink. I mean, the technology wasn't there in a lot of places for people to be doing streaming and all that stuff. And it's kind of like a chicken or the egg to some extent. Like, well, you could say like, well, we didn't have uplink, so we couldn't do, you know, streaming. But, you know, video technology and compression and all that stuff coming along too. But, you know, your average person still doesn't need a lot of uplink. You know, they're sending emails here and there or a text or whatever. But you're absolutely right. Like when you want to talk about the power of actually communicating in two directions, like, you know, that uplink is an important factor. And that's cool to hear Richard talking about how that kind of plays into, you know, the consideration for the community.
Yeah, because, I mean, how can they justify? I have a 75 megabit connection, which I'm lucky. I live pretty rural, so there's not a lot of people out here. So I get on average between 85 and 100 megabit with my 75 megabit connection, but I get 10 to 11 up.
Right.
So, you know, for them to give me, even if I was only getting the 75 that they advertise, to only give me a 10 up, unless I go to a business class connection.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously it's sufficient, but yeah, you have to start getting into fiber optic and stuff to really get into that really high speed stuff. And frankly, like, look at the majority of your community. You are a unique person. I mean, I would bet most of the people around you don't even understand computers, or they're afraid that they're going to rise up against them.
That's probably true. They definitely don't know how to secure their wireless networks.
What Glenn's saying is his internet connection is based on what the neighbor's buying.
Oh, here, I just fired up the screen here. This is the internet plans. I'm on the internet 150. So, yeah. That's
wow, for $49
for $50 a month? Dang, man, that's sweet. That's Canadian, right?
That's for the first year, and then it comes up to $82.
Yeah, but that's 50 Canadian.
That's still a steal.
I'm paying $82
a month for that.
Oh yeah, I'm paying $85 or $100, something like that, somewhere in between there a month for a bit up, and I think 10 or 15 down and 150. Yeah, Jesus, I got that backwards. 150 down and 10 or 15 up, and I'm paying almost $100 a month.
Man, that's
so
like
I got that's 150 up and down.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
And actually, when I run the test on it, quite often it's higher than that.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say, what's your typically do?
Yeah.
I've hit 175, I think, at best. And sometimes it's down. You know, busy days like in the evening, you're more like down to 100.
Oh, you poor thing.
It's tough.
Yeah, but you know, all of us are talking about you poor thing, but like, look at what we've got compared to what most probably do.
That's $40 US, right? Because that was Canadian dollars.
That's Canadian funds.
Yeah, so $40 US. That'll get me like 2 breakfast burritos around here. For Jesus, no, maybe a couple more than that, but still, that's awesome. That's good. Well, it gives me hope that maybe, you know, we'll see some more of that in the future. I don't know.
Well, the amazing thing is we're a small community, basically in the middle of nowhere. You know, I'm right above Bonner's Ferry, Idaho. You know, I'm right across the border from there, but we're a very small community. But they're slowly wiring up all the communities like this. We're the first one in southern BC to get it, but I think this year they hit 3 more communities, and they're just working community by community. My nephew has an acreage about, I guess it would be about 10 miles out of town. and they wired fiber up to his door. He hasn't hooked it up, but so he's on an acreage. And it's all acreages, and they now have fiber available to them.
Yeah,
and actually, that's from a competing company.
I was taking the prices for me. I get the gigabit fiber and unlimited upload and unlimited download for $78 US. And my work actually pays for that because I work from home very often, so I don't have to pay it personally.
Gigabit to my house would cost me like $600 a month.
Yeah. And that doesn't probably not get fiber to the house, does it?
No, it's fiber to the street, and then it's fiber to the pole, and then to the house it's whatever, Ethernet or whatever.
Yeah.
The thing I loved about when they put the fiber in, I was here the day they're running it, and they're going to run it to one side of the house, and I said, all my electronics are on the other side. Can you run it over there? So they had a look, and that's where they ran it. So made my life much easier.
Awesome. Well, listen, gents, it's time for me to sign off.
Yeah, I think
awesome hanging
Comcast
with you guys.
I think Comcast is listening to the conversation because my internet's starting to crap out.
Yeah, I've just used up my plan, my allotment for the month. So.
Yeah.
And
it was awesome hanging with you guys. Good chat tonight. Good stream. And I will catch you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Good night.
Keep an eye out for that package. Oh, he's already gone.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Xander.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks guys for hosting.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Tonight.
Oh, I love hosting. It makes
thanks to everybody in the chat as well. Thanks to you guys for being. We had a hell of a number of people in the chat.
It was. There's still 20 people watching now. I mean, some of that's us, but.
Yeah, I think I'm going to cut loose too. Good place to end it for the night. Been a decent discussion tonight, Glenn. Good topics.
Yeah,
thank you. I think it was something that needed to get out there. So I learned some stuff. I made some notes. Now I know what to look for. I know that secretly I want to kill Marteinn in his sleep because he has such good internet.
Yeah.
Marteinn, what time is it? It's early in the morning for you now, right?
Yeah, now it's 20 minutes past 5 in the morning.
Wow.
And Marteinn starts his morning with us on Fridays, or just Saturday for you.
Right. Well, it's technically Saturday for us as well, Matt.
Well, at this point, yes. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
In the future, normally start.
So we're back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
The 20th.
What is the? You are correct. The 20th. Yep. If somebody wants to host, like I said, try to get a hold of me before Wednesday the 18th. I'd prefer to be able to announce who's going to be hosting by Wednesday the 18th. And then we'll get things set up. Hopefully between now and then, I'll have the video up on stream as well. Uh-oh. Did I freeze or?
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Glenn, you were first.
What's that? I was just I was looking at dates. The 20th being our next one. That's the weekend of Orlando Maker Faire. But I should be here.
Yay!
I think we're gonna grab a hotel room that night. I mean, it's only an hour and a half away, but just to save from driving back and forth. But
yeah, Maker Faire.
All right, that's enough audio.
Oh.
Didn't you go to bed like an hour and 20 minutes ago?
No. Everyone in the chat thought I was, but not. No. Okay.
Yeah, it was a great turnout. So.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
Bye.
see you later. I think I'll go to bed.
When do you go to bed? It's time for you to start your day.
Yeah. Time to wake up.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Yep.
Thank
bye.
you, guys.